It is a world where spatial rifts have emerged and humanity has awakened the professions. We follow the awakening of the profession of Linlu, our promising protagonist. With the title of Priest D, he sees that unlike others, he can change his abilities. We witness the growth and mutations of his abilities as he evolves. With this, he begins to defeat monsters and evolve faster than the others. Accompanied by his school friends Lian Yining and Tang Cheng, he sets out for a test. Lian Yining has harbored a platonic crush on the character for some time. The boy's enhanced abilities begin to manifest as bizarre things like viruses and STDs. What will be the journey of a former D-ranked priest to an evil doctor? A secret profession. 300 years ago, spatial rifts appeared in the world, unleashing legendary monsters and revealing secret realms. The world became a chaos inhabited by all kinds of creatures. People lost their lives, and monsters walked among us. And in this catastrophe, humanity gained an opportunity. The awakening of the professions. Some lucky individuals with aptitude would manage to awaken various distinct professions. Among ninjas, warriors, mages, and monks, these people explored the secret realms to obtain resources. These individuals were called professionals. We see a packed auditorium of students and an instructor at the front. Today is the day they awaken their talents. The instructor calls for the next in line, Linlu. Beside her we see a crystal egg. Her name is Lai Yu, and she asks the next student to come up on stage. A boy with black hair appears, thinking that as a transmigrant, he is the most special of the students. As he walks among the other students, Lin looks down on them in thought. He believes he will start a new era and that he is the star of the class. He brings his hand closer to the crystal egg. An explosion fills the area and a very bright light appears. The students watching are surprised by such light and imagine he will be a fighter. One of the girls wonders if the discreet Linlu will stand out and says she is dying of envy. Lin observes the smoke coming from the egg and knows that this day will be his debut. And then we discover his profession, priest, rank D. The boy looks incredulously at that notification, seemingly disappointed. The instructor congratulates him for awakening in the support profession and again says rank D. The people in the auditorium begin to comment on the profession, which is usually responsible for healing. Two girls are whispering maliciously, since usually only girls can be healers. Linlu hears the murmurs, and all of this begins to weigh on his mind. Male healer. Some of Lin's classmates tried to encourage him while others take the opportunity to tease him, calling him Mama Lin. He starts shouting at them, saying that when they need healing, he swears they will get what they deserve. His classmates tremble because they know that having a healer friend is always useful and sometimes necessary. Annoyed, Lin asks them to at least change the nickname and call him Milk Daddy. He knows that professions have levels S, A, B, C, and D, and his level is the weakest. Lin hears a voice telling him not to be discouraged and that they will form a team in the future. That voice belongs to Tang Cheng, Lin's friend who is a level C stone warrior. The blue-eyed boy asks if it's a good idea for a healer and a tank to form a team. The friends' conversation is interrupted by another explosion coming from the crystal egg. The two partners cover their eyes from the brightness and wonder who caused this. Amid all the brightness, a female silhouette can be seen. It is Lian Yining, who has also awakened as the spirit of the frozen lady. Her blue-green eyes like ice open, and her level is A. All the students get excited. Since she was one of the best students, they imagine she would have a high level. Lu admires the newly awakened girl and thinks she is truly stunning. The girl returns to her original form with black hair and school uniform. The instructor excitedly says that with this profession, Lian will be able to choose universities around the world. We continue to see the awakenings of the other students, and many fail at this stage, while others awaken mundane professions like cook. Lu opens his status screen, understanding that it is all a matter of destiny. On the status screen, he can see his attributes, abilities, and profession as well as his level. Something catches his attention, and he looks surprised at his abilities. The ability Skin Bursting Level 1 appears as one of his options. Lu has never heard of this ability. It ruptures the target's skin, ignoring 50% to 100% of its own defense and causing intense pain and bleeding. The protagonist thinks that if he is supposed to heal wounds, this ability makes no sense at all. As he still doesn't have a high enough level, he can't use it, but he wonders what skills derive from it. Suddenly, he has an insight. If his ability mutated to bursting skin, that means he might be able to mutate his skills, and it seems like everything around him trembles with excitement. The protagonist takes something from his pocket. It's his cell phone, and he starts typing hurriedly. Cheng asks what his friend is doing, and he explains that he is going to buy skill books. Cheng remembers that Lu comes from a wealthy family, and that his mother is a sailor. The last time they spoke was 3 months ago, Instructor Lei Yu announces that the awakening of professions has ended. She says that now everyone can return home. Lei Yu also congratulates all the students who managed to awaken their professions, and for those who did not awaken or receive mundane professions, everything can still change. Luo runs ahead, and Chang asks why he is running so fast, and he says it's an urgency. He is anxious because he requested 2 new skills and wants to see what they will mutate into. His friend and Lian are worried, imagining that becoming a healer has upset him. At Luo's house, a truck arrives to deliver what he ordered online. Sitting on the couch with 2 scrolls, Luo seems quite excited. The 2 scrolls are Recovery Art and Calmness Art, respectively red and blue. He closes his eyes and concentrates to learn the skills. The scrolls burn. On the status screen, he can see that everything seems to tremble. Something is happening. He knows this could mean a mutation in the skills. He receives blood fever, which induces slowness, dizziness, and nausea, and enhanced pain, which doubles the pain suffered by the target. Luo is excited. He realizes that one of them is practically a fever and imagines what he can do by combining the skills he has. The protagonist rejoices. He never imagined he would have the power to modify skills. Suddenly, his cell phone starts ringing. A notification that he has been added to Professor Li's pre-exam group. Everyone who awakened today was added to the group, including Lian Lining and Tang Chen. The professor says they will have 10 days of rest, but will then have to prepare for the exam. A sarcastic smile appears on Luo's face. A sinister and malevolent energy seems to flow from his body. He says that in 10 days, he will see who can withstand his healing. The protagonist can already imagine situations where people are agonizing while he uses his skills. In the school courtyard, 2 female students walk and talk. One girl asks whining if she is sad for worrying about Linlu. The girl blushes and says it's nothing like that, but her friend is already suspicious. The concerned friend reminds whining that now she can choose any university, and Luo won't be able to keep up with her. Still blushing, the girl with long black hair gathers the courage to speak, but she is interrupted by Yang Horan, who heard that she awakened an A-level profession and asks which university she wants to attend. This boy used to pursue mining, and now he has also awakened an A-level profession. Everyone says he and the girl with black hair make a great match. Nervous Lion corrects the boy, saying she wants him to call her by her full name. She takes her friend's hand and continues walking, saying it's a personal matter which university she wants to attend. Yang seems irritated and thinks it's absurd that she sent a love letter to Lin Luo, who is someone inferior. With a very mischievous face, he thinks there will still be many opportunities, and if she doesn't spare him, then he will be ruthless. Let's then go to the Demon Rat Plains, which are creatures suitable for low-level warriors to hunt. Luo arrives at the location. He is also surrounded by other mages and warriors. Satisfied because the plains have conveniently leveled creatures and are close to his home, the healer decides he will experiment with his mutant abilities and level up there for a while. A group of 5 people of level 5 or higher is needed to defeat the monsters. Warriors, knights, and druids have priority there, as well as explosive equipment. Luo can see other fighters looking for groups while shouting in the crowd. A beautiful girl calls the protagonist, saying he looks like a novice, that it's dangerous there, and she can protect him. He ignores that irresistible invitation and says he prefers to work alone. A man in armor approaches the woman, and she explains that she thought the boy resembled her little brother and intends to observe him. The 2 veterans talk about how novices are overly confident, and this one is actually calmer than usual. The girl says that anyway Xio he has already found the coordinates for the special monster, and that it will be a great trip. We can see newbies struggling against the rats. They are truly challenging. Luo observes as a rat gnaws on a piece of meat. The protagonist realizes that despite being a monster for beginners, the rat's attributes cannot be underestimated. He now understands why everyone forms teams to defeat them and then prepares his staff. The demonic rat is reduced to disgusting chunks of meat. He manages to eliminate the enemy and receives 60 experience points. Luo is extremely perplexed. His mutant ability is really very strong and resolved the issue in seconds. He prepares his staff again and decides to try to eliminate one more. The demonic rat senses his presence and turns to him with terrifying eyes. However, it cannot retaliate quickly enough and is also dragged down. Luo used another ability that causes the enemy to bleed until their life ends. A yellow light appears, he levels up and is happy with the amount of experience. When he reaches level 1, his 4-dimensional attribute values are permanently increased by 1, and he gains 4 free attribute points. He knows he cannot compare himself to other higher-level healers and starts to adjust his skills. For pastors, the effects of skills, as well as speed and quantity, are related to their mental attributes. He levels up the attributes he deems necessary. Now hidden in a bush, he prepares to try the next skill. But Luo is surprised because his next skill is not working. The demonic rat, which has already noticed his presence, charges at him, and the healer knows that his ability doubles the target's pain. Lu raises his staff again in an attempt to hit the attacking rat with another skill. The monster's skin tears away from its bones, and it is defeated. The hero realizes that he cannot use this pain ability on the rat because it cannot withstand a use of the skin-destroying skill and decides to save it for a boss. The protagonist manages to defeat the rat and gains 880 experience points. He continues on his path, sweeping away all the demonic rats that appear without difficulties. Then he finally reaches level 10. He obtained 4 free attribute points and 1 skill point. Lu can feel the power coursing through his veins. He has new skills to unlock. He is pleased to have reached level 10 in just 6 days. The protagonist takes a look at the newly unlocked skills, and it's a shame that he has limited points. The derived skills need to be learned through skill points. He looks surprised at the power catalog and chooses one called Acute Gastroenteritis. At the same moment he unlocks the skill, he hears high-pitched squeaks. The level 15 boss of the demonic rats approaches him with hatred in its eyes. He can hardly believe his eyes. A boss. Lu manages to dodge the rat's charge with a quick leap. The monster raises its paw to strike the protagonist's face. With a precise skill, the boy manages to defend against the blow. With one less arm, the rat looks even more furious. Lu loads more skills into his staff that ignore the monster's defense. Surrounded by a purple aura, the rat boss is cornered. The healer is managing to defeat a monster that normally requires 10 level 10 warriors. His mutant powers are indeed powerful. He will only need 2 rounds of skill. The rat suffers the effects of the blows, and someone watching laughs and wishes him good luck. Lu turns towards the voices that are speaking to him. A group of 6 people says that all the monsters in the area are reserved for their guild. With a confident expression, our protagonist looks disdainfully at his challengers. Lu is calmly sitting while listening to music on his headphones. Next to him, a group of warriors is trying to defeat the rat boss. The bald man says he is more worried about the boy than the rat because he gave up too easily. The healer waves to the warriors with a sign of peace and love. The man with the staff says that unless he wants to die, no one messes with their guild. A purple cloud appears and one of the fighters starts to feel sick to his stomach. He screams at the top of his lungs that he can't take it anymore. The damage was so absurd that his pants gave up and ripped immediately. Soon after, the guildmates also begin to feel the effects of the MC's ability. Other members who are also suffering from diarrhea ask the boss not to look. The man with the staff covers his nose with his hand. The stench is too much to bear. The smell of decay is so intense that he can't concentrate to fight the rat. Lu takes the earphone out for a moment while letting out a mischievous chuckle. Holding his staff that emanates a purple energy, this explains where the diarrhea comes from. The man with the staff can't take it anymore and collapses in pain. Even the rat can't stand that smell. Our protagonist decides to end the rotten party and casts pain intensification and skin explosion. A horrendous noise can be heard, and pieces of things we'd rather not know about fly through the air. As a result, everyone is unconscious around him, and Lu gains experience for having defeated the rat. This time he receives several pieces of equipment and a skill book. The drop rate for skill books is 1 in 1,000, but hunting alone increases that rate. He equips the ring and gains passive healing abilities that cannot mutate. Lu picks up the scroll he received and begins to learn the new skill. He learns virus transmission, which can spread viruses and poison enemies from a long range. As expected, upon learning this new power, he undergoes a mutation and transforms into Black Death Outbreak. The ability spreads the Black Plague to a target or area, with complete control over the outbreak and the possibility of eliminating it at any moment. The healer says the Black Plague is contagious and caused the death of 30 million people. He knows that his ability is still at level 1, so it is far from being that terrible, but can improve. Lu also organizes the other materials he obtained, which are equally good. He hears a cracking noise coming from behind him. The protagonist wonders if it's a space rift, but no, it's a secret realm. A sinister red door opens near him. It's an undiscovered secret realm. Secret realms are more dangerous than dungeons but contain more monsters and equipment. They close if someone enters them and disappear once completed. Since they hold more valuable treasures, many professionals fight to enter them. Lu approaches the door. These realms are divided into 4 levels: normal, hard, nightmare, and hell. He looks at a medal near the door that says hard level. It would be complicated for him to do it alone. If he goes back to seek help, someone might find the door and enter in his place. He decides to try even though he doubts whether this could be a blessing or a disaster. As he pulls the door's key, he is teleported inside it in an instant. We now see Qing, She is with her friends and has dropped a class change book. She catches her friend's attention, seeing that there is an entrance to a newly opened secret realm. Her partners seem excited and intend to enter the realm as well. However, they realize they cannot enter due to the level and consider selling the door since it is a very expensive item. King says she will pay 4 million and that they can split the money, but that door will be hers. The three look astonished at the girl with attitude. She needs to be careful in case someone has already entered the door. She asserts that since there are only newbies around, this is not a problem, and she will gift it to her niece. Inside the secret realm Scarlet Altar, we can see Objective 1. Eliminate all monsters. Objective 2. Destroy the Scarlet Altar. This cave, once sacred to orcs and lizardmen, has been corrupted by demonic energy, and its inhabitants have become killer monsters. Lu is hiding from the lizardmen. He knows this mission is truly challenging. The possessed lizards are strong against physical blows, but are afraid of magic, level 15. The healer observes that the reptiles are not as strong as the rat boss. Despite this, the monsters have a keen sense and notice the protagonist's presence. They chase after our adventurer, who flees from them quickly. He points his staff at the creatures with the intention of stopping them. Casting skin explosion and loose diarrhea, he gets what he wants. As a cold-blooded race living in a dark environment, their dung stinks too much. Lu realizes that the place is not large and has little ventilation, making the use of diarrhea very dangerous. He runs to a point where he is safer. Raising his weapon with precision, he decides to use his newest ability. Outside the secret realm, King is standing in front of the door. Ninning calls her aunt and shows her a fluorescent kitten that has great healing powers and could be a good pet. The aunt agrees that it's cute but says she has a birthday present for her, a secret realm. She says she selected members for the group who will protect her, and she will get great rewards. Some men in ninja masks shout that they will ensure Miss Yining's safety. The girl agrees, although she thinks she would prefer to choose her own team members. Kane warns that secret realms always cause disputes, and that her niece should leave soon. A strong energy emanates from the door, catching Mining by surprise. This energy is caused because someone has already entered the realm before. Kane hugs her niece, saying it must be some clueless rookie. They will wait for him to die before entering. The girl wonders who it could be that entered the realm. Inside, we can see a lizard man suffering from Lu's ability. The protagonist has already eliminated some monsters and leveled up to level 12. Since they are high-level monsters, he managed to evolve 2 levels quite quickly. The power of the plague ability is that it is very contagious and would not work as well in open spaces. In a closed cave with many monsters, he would only need to infect a few, sit back, and wait for them to be eliminated. He observes the lizard Kane while thinking he cannot try to defeat them one by one, as he would be overwhelmed by their saliva. The best way to win would be to find a pathogen, but most lizards have a limited activity area. Lu hears movement from monsters behind him, and a different large lizard appears. It is the white lizard, an elite monster that wields a hammer and is physically stronger than the others. The healer believes it is the perfect target for his Black Plague spell and casts the power. The ability reaches the elite monster and hits it squarely. The other lizards ask their chief what his problem is, and if he is okay. He replies that he is just trembling a bit and orders them to continue patrolling. There is a scarlet crystal at the back of the cave surrounded by several lizard men. Lu begins to count how many enemies the virus has already managed to infect, and it keeps multiplying. He sits in a corner and continues counting, waiting for his deadly plan to unfold. The lack of hygiene habits also helps the disease spread more quickly. And then the healer raises his staff, saying it is time to start the Black Death. The boy places his fingers under his forehead and commands it to explode. Literally, an explosion occurs throughout the secret realm. The lizard men are all infected with the Black Death and are decimated in a matter of seconds. As the reptile corpses fall to the ground, the protagonist gains a lot of experience. Lu is astonished by the rapid growth. His levels rise quickly. He can see the power emanating from his body, and in a few minutes, he evolves 6 levels. Victorious, the boy approaches the Scarlet Altar and notices that there are still survivors. A large white lizard with flaming eyes stands on the altar. This monster is the Scarlet Father Lizard, level 20, the protector of the realm's altar. Our healer realizes that this is a boss that possesses healing abilities. Screaming incessantly, the fearsome monster also wields a staff just like Lu. The protagonist says he will take advantage of its illness and end its life. Showing its sharp teeth and red eyes, the lizard lets out its final roar, and its life ends with the powerful healer's ability. This was a fragile boss. Otherwise, Lu wouldn't have been able to keep killing monsters and bosses non-stop, which is too costly. He hears one of the white lizards still breathing. He needs to deal with them and then destroy the altar. The boy notices that the elite enemies are gathering near the chief's body. In a bizarre scene, the lizards are fusing together while eating the body of the strongest one. A white mass of lizards begins to form in front of the healer, and from this mass emerges the monster Furious Mutation, level 21. even more powerful. Furious Mutation stands before our protagonist with all its sinister pomp. Lu is exhausted, and the enemy is a combination of a mage and a melee attacker. The monster screams for him to go to hell and attacks him using its weapon, a chain. Fortunately, the blow does not hit the healer, who defends himself from the gust of wind. He takes a magic recovery potion from his inventory. While drinking the potion, the monster moves quickly behind him. Mutation uses its charge power and pushes the protagonist forcefully. The poor boy is thrown to the ground and only managed to take a sip of the potion. On its staff, the boss begins to gather scarlet energy, blood entanglement. The ability starts firing multiple blasts in various directions, and Lu tries to escape. Trying to drink the potion with one hand, the healer casts the Black Death spell with the other, but the monster manages to dodge by jumping over the attack. Another corpse of a white lizard begins to emanate a type of energy. Mutation again strikes with its chain but still does not hit the protagonist. Still drinking the potion, Lu reveals that the boss was not the original target of his power. The furious monster charges at the healer, who manages to keep his distance. The boy shouts Black Death several times, and explosions fill the area. He is completely exhausted, and his MP is high, but his HP is practically at its last. Mutation warns that even if he regains his powers, none of his abilities will work on him. Lu cannot understand what the monster is saying but warns him to look around. The healer has used Black Death several times, but the targets were the corpses around the boss. Since the virus in the bodies is now highly concentrated, he can use all of his mana on one ability. The healer has a great trick up his sleeve. What kind of viral banquet will this cause? The protagonist uses the ability Skin Explosion, and a cloud of energy rises around him. Since the boss is just a temporary mutation, this will cause the virus to affect its body. We see a green explosion ending the balance of the mutation and completely destroying its existence. Our healer emerges victorious again, reaching level 20 and receiving some rewards. He received an axe that is useless, but he has a staff that will serve him well. In addition, some abilities appear as well. Several new abilities appeared because when you reach level 20, you can learn new powers and maximize your points. Lu ends up thinking that his abilities are becoming a bit ridiculous but decides to learn Influenza. The boy turns around because he remembers he hasn't picked up some drops from the other monsters. He uses the summoning skill and commands the lizards to destroy the scarlet crystal of the altar. From within the wreckage of the crystal, he can see something that looks like a useful reward. It is a divinized rune, an evolvable item that is the best reward from this realm. Linlu is proud because he has finally completed this secret realm. By completing all the objectives, he reaches level 24 and gains some items and money. He is satisfied because he also received a perfect career change pass. Several items are added to his inventory with many interesting abilities to be used in the future. Meanwhile, outside the door of the secret realm, Yining and the others are still waiting. From inside the portal, Lu begins to emerge slowly. One of the men says he thinks the guild has failed to complete the missions and is getting up. They are stunned to see that it was just one person alone. King remembers him and thinks that all his partners must have died, leaving him alone. Yining recognizes that it is Linlu standing before her. He explains that he was hunting alone, and she becomes quite worried about his injuries. The healer is in a hurry and asks to talk later because he wants to sell his newly acquired items. The girl asks him to wait, and the other men fear for her safety. King says that Yining's friendships are only her business and that they should continue guarding the entrance to the realm. However, the door begins to close and everyone is astonished. They cannot believe that Lu actually managed to complete the secret realm alone. As Linlu walks away, the young Yining asks him to wait. She explains to Lu that those men were just her bodyguards, but she believes in him. The boy says it's no problem and that he doesn't mind. Shyly, Yining smiles and asks if she can form a team with him for the exam. The exams are divided between individual and groups of 3. Based on the results, students can enter universities and earn special rewards. Lu emphasizes that he is level D and she should choose someone better, but Yining is determined to go with him. The healer finds the invitation a bit strange but decides it wouldn't be nice to refuse. Back home, the protagonist who sold the items he got from the monsters is rolling in money. He earned more money in 1 week than his mother's salary in a year. The door opens and someone enters the room where Lu is. Tang Cheng appears, asking where he has been these past few days. The healer offers his friend a sword and armor, leaving him impressed. Lu explains that he has been leveling up in the Rat Plains and asks them to form a team for the exam. Tang is all happy with the gifts and jokingly asks to be Lu's real brother, which he declines. We change scenes and now see someone shouting in disbelief in an elegant palace. A man with spiky hair is talking to Yining and cannot accept that she declined to team up with Dongfang. He is her father. She explains that she prefers to join forces with Linlu, who is her friend and completed a secret realm. The father is impressed and says that this seems like an achievement of a professional A or S. Upon learning that Lu is actually a rank D priest, he cannot believe it at all. King confirms that it is true and that forming a team with him doesn't seem like a bad idea. Yining's father says she can do as she prefers since even her sister believes in it, and he leaves. On the day of the exam at the testing tower, we can see several students approaching. Bing Bing is live streaming from the tower. Over 20,000 professionals will participate in the test. There are several testing towers around the world with more than 1,000 floors. If a professional reaches the 20th floor, they will already be considered an incredible genius. She shows the current ranking of the best participants. First is Suhen, second is Dongfang, and third is Unparalleled Sword. Tang and Chang are waiting for the third member. Tang wants to know who it will be and if they are a damage dealer. Mining appears among the crowd greeting Luo and saying that now the team is complete. Chang is surprised to see that the healer has called the most beautiful girl in the room to the team. From the top of the tower, a man with red eyes observes the crowd of professionals. He is a boy who was previously rejected by Lining and seems frustrated. Yang Horang appears, brought by another blonde man. He was called by Dongfang. The man with red eyes describes what he knows about Yang and asks if he is really rank A. A bit startled by everything a stranger has discovered about him, Yang agrees. The boy in red then makes the proposal for him to join his team. The blonde in blue reminds that his two former partners can no longer enter the test, but he doesn't mind. They start talking about mining and her special profession, the Snow Princess. Dongfang says that she has the brain of a woman that doesn't work, which is why she rejected joining his team. He connects the conversation by telling about a single woman who was ever worthy of attracting him. She was the youngest daughter of the Mirong family, Mirong Xuyen, a beautiful blonde girl. The beautiful girl talks about Lining's teen choice, believing she should have chosen better. Her partner tells her not to worry because first place will surely be hers. Xuyen explains that she doesn't care about the rank, but rather about the reward of the test, the wonderful artifact of the world. A warning is heard for the candidates to stay alert as the exam will begin soon. Everyone prepares in teams to enter the testing tower. Our team of protagonists enters the location. Cheng says that each floor is an independent world. At the same moment they arrive, the heroes are greeted by raging monsters. Cheng seems surprised, but Lu is eager to show his skills to his teammates. Nining takes the first step, transforming into the Ice Princess with her frost attack. Everything around freezes and icy stalagmites form all over the ground. She asks Linlu to step back as she will protect him. This disappoints him as he wanted to put on a show. The tower vibrated with the storm of powers boiling inside it. According to the rules, the more floors a team completes in 12 hours, the better the result. We can see that some team has already managed to reach the 7th floor quite quickly. The leading teams are Dongfangs and Mirongs, followed by, the organizers can hardly believe it, but Chen, Luo, and Mining are in third place. They judge that one of the team members is just waiting while the others fight. Luo explains to Yining that despite being a priest, he has no healing abilities and cannot attack the monsters there. The spectators are envious of Luo for being on a team with the goddess of the school. They also comment on Chen, believing that soon she won't be able to carry the group of losers anymore. A girl picks up a cup, listening that this team has reached the 10th floor. She is king, thinking that if a guy who completed a secret realm is a loser, then 99% of the candidates are worse than trash. 3 hours pass, and we see many candidates fallen on the ground begging for medics. The spectators comment that the higher the floors, the stronger the monsters become. Will someone break the record of 26 floors? After the 15th floor, there are no images as monsters destroy cameras, preserving the competitors' secrets. They laugh because Yanning's team, which was previously in third place, is now among the 30. This was expected since she was carrying the team, and it is even surprising they lasted this long. Our heroes remain steadfast, and everything around them is frozen thanks to Yining. She seems completely exhausted and wonders if this is her limit. Chang is proud because they reached the 19th floor solely through her effort. Luo, with a mysterious air, asks them to switch positions as he will take the lead. Chang finds this strange, believing that Yining is the strongest, but she asks him to look at Lu's information panel. The knight is impressed to see the level difference, and that he completed the secret realm alone. Lu asks where he thinks his gift equipment came from and asks Yining to unfreeze the monster. The healer touches the still frozen enemy and asks what they think the monster will do once it is unfrozen. The girl replies that it will seek reinforcements. Lu confirms and tells her to prepare to level up. She agrees and says she would love to see how Linlu completed a secret realm alone. The little monster gradually begins to unfreeze, starting from its head. Once fully freed, it does as Lu predicted and runs away in panic. It doesn't take long before they can hear the noise of more monsters approaching. The healer finds it strange because there wouldn't have been enough time to summon so many reinforcements. Mining and Chen also find it odd since they had already cleared the area. The two boys notice that there are other people there, and we see three silhouettes. They are three shady guys who deliberately brought more monsters to delay the others. Mining ends up lowering her guard while a monster is very close to attacking her. But before the enemy could attack, a chain with a ball at the end defends her. She looks surprised in the direction of the chain that protected her. It is an invocation skill from Lu, who brought the white lizard into battle. He commands the lizardmen to attack the monsters. Chang is dazzled. The girl explains that it is a skill related to equipment. The three who brought the monsters continue to observe the hero's power. One of them notices that more monsters are approaching. They believe this will kill the protagonists and decide to look for the entrance to the next floor. Our heroes are cornered. The number of monsters has doubled, and reinforcements have arrived. Linlu strikes his battle pose with his staff and prepares to make his move. He invokes his powerful skill, Black Death Outbreak. The approaching monsters are taken by surprise. They all feel the power of our protagonist's skill and are eliminated. Without delay, the three protagonists begin to level up. The healer has not finished his move. He concentrates a cloud of energy, and the entire floor is covered in death and a sinister wave of power. A hole opens in the sky, forming a beam of light from above, surprising the warriors. The team managed to defeat the bear goblins, earning 2,765 experience points. Chang is impressed by the amount of experience and Lu's skill. The Ice Princess is convinced that it wasn't poison, as bear goblins are extremely resistant. Lu agrees that his friend is very smart and says it's not poison, but rather a disease-type ability. His skill allows him to infect enemies with a virus that takes over all their cells in a short time, a contagious virus. With so many goblins there, the number of viruses becomes absurd, and this dense cloud of virus spreads across the entire floor of the tower. Chang is concerned, but Lu explains that he is the one controlling the virus and that the boy won't be infected. Striking a confident pose, he explains that it would be different if it were people not on his side. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a trio of warriors is on the move. They talk about the three protagonists and wonder if they're still somewhere in the tower. One of them, however, thinks they shouldn't waste time talking and says he knows the entrance to the next floor. But the three stop walking as the sky begins to darken. A strange cloud catches their attention. They look up, stunned, trying to understand what's happening. It's a massive black cloud that covers the entire sky of the area. The effects of this giant air mass start to affect the boys, who begin to feel sick. Among the terrible sensations they experience are headaches and severe difficulty breathing. Not just the trio, but other participants on the same floor begin to feel the symptoms as well. Fearing a further decline in their health, many start to give up on the challenge. The floors of the tower continue to ascend as the candidates climb. Some gentlemen discuss that this time they believe the candidates will reach floor 27 or even 28. They are worried because the world has become more hostile and they need a prepared generation. One of them believes that giving rare world objects as rewards is excessive, but another disagrees, saying it will be a good way to train them. The oldest among them asks them to stop talking and look in the direction of the tower. It seems that something is wrong. A large amount of poisonous fog on the 19th floor. Some energy balls begin to emerge from the tower. Several candidates who were on the 19th floor start to appear poisoned and badly injured. The doctors believe it is the poison from a monster on the 26th floor and wonder if it descended to the 19th. Looking closely, the doctors realize that it is not poison but rather a viral disease. An older man approaches and confirms that it is the Black Plague. The monster that can spread this disease is on the 50th floor. He is confused about what is happening. A sick man says he only saw the poisonous fog, and even the monsters suffered. The plague had a limited impact, and many, especially those of rank S, have already reached high floors, turning it into an unexpected benefit. We see the silhouette of three warriors arriving on a floor with several centipede monsters. It is Dongfang's team, which is very well prepared and intact so far. He is determined to reach level 28 with all the technology and intelligence of his family. Dongfang's sycophant says they are the only ones to reach level 26, but he asks not to underestimate the others. Murong Zuhen is also at the same level as them, but he believes that will be her limit. We see the beautiful blonde girl and her partners defeating several giant centipedes. One of her partners uses the Holy Shield skill to defend their team. This prevents the centipedes from getting close and even rebounds their attacks. The defender is tired because the number of monsters is very large and they are targeting them. Xuyen says that thanks to Sister Mei, she was able to preserve her strength and will show what she can do. Sister Mei says she wants to apologize because she used honey to attract all the monsters to them. Her two companions look shocked. The blonde asks why she did that. Mei confesses that she did it out of jealousy because Xuyen always has the attention of men and gets everything she wants. She says she did this at Dongfang's command because he promised to include her in the family and asks Xuyen to sacrifice for her. The blonde scolds her, disappointed, and says she was deceived. Mei doesn't believe it. Outraged, she says she trusts her brother He and that Xuyen is jealous of her. The girl adds that she has never won anything against the blonde, but for a man she will win. Xuyen says they already have enough points to qualify for the individual competition. With great conviction, she states that when she qualifies, she will take back the throne that Dongfang took from her. Our heroes are arriving on the 20th floor, and Chen gives all the credit to Luo's power. The healer asks them not to celebrate too soon and that they must level up before the monsters return. Nining explains that Luo's abilities may not be effective against monsters with higher magical defense. He adds that they are also ineffective when in open spaces or with few monsters. The girl also reminds them that when they kill the monsters, other candidates may be affected, and this could end up offending many participants in the challenge. Chen understands the concern. The healer repeats only the word offend, and concludes his reasoning by saying that in this world, if you don't fight, you perish. This certainly boosts the team's morale, and they agree that they will always stick together. The 20th floor looks like a jungle with various bizarre insectoid monsters. The peace of these insects is interrupted by a rain of stones. An explosion disperses some of these disgusting monsters. Chen shouts at them, provoking them to look at him. He makes an obscene gesture at the insects and says he wants them to come fight him. Some flying insects appear and start chasing the boy, who runs in desperation. Chen asks his friend to conjure the virus quickly before the monsters swallow him. Lu prepares his staff and energy while a horrifying insect approaches him. A neon blue light pierces the bizarre insect. It's Mining, who along with her friends is also eliminating some enemies. She declares that as long as she is there, no one will harm Linlu. A herd of monsters approaches and the healer raises his staff. With confidence, he declares that the show is about to begin. Conjuring his Black Death outbreak, he causes an explosion in the area. Some spectators comment on the breaking of the record, and 2 teams are on the 27th floor. Some are disappointed with the result that Murong Su-hen achieved, as she was one of the favorites. They comment that even when suppressed, future geniuses may emerge, like Master Lei, who overcame attacks out of envy and reached the top. An informant ninja arrives, interrupting the spectators' conversation, saying that something bad is going to happen. He points to the tower and says that new poison mists have appeared and are spreading upwards. In just 4 hours, the poison has spread to the 24th floor, and approximately 3,000 candidates will be affected. The doctors are busy taking the sick away. There are few students above level 24. One of the gentlemen asks how many candidates are above level 24, and there are fewer than 100. They begin to reflect, and one of them concludes that this seems like work done by human hand. The other man questions whether he believes there are corrupted people mixed in with the candidates. Since the apocalypse and the emergence of professions, some sustain humanity, while others refuse reality or seek more power. These choose to surrender to the alien demon god and believe that dedicating the world to the demon is the only way to maintain civilization. They walk hidden, causing destruction and serving the demon god. They are known as the Fallen. One of the men says that if the Fallen were present, no one would have survived, but the other says they might be targeting the S-ranked professionals. The gentleman states that the tower is blocked during the tests, and they wouldn't be able to enter. They have no choice but to place all their hopes on the talented students. The group of heroes reaches level 26 and is passing through the door. The friends compare their growth. Chen is level 20 and Mining is level 25. Luo opens his skill panel and counts that he has reached level 30 and has 4 skills to learn. He gains a skill called reproductive excitation that makes the target wildly eager to reproduce. The other 3 are also strange. They spread sexually transmitted diseases. Luo, unabashed, seems excited and decides to learn all the new skills. Chen and Mining notice the mischief on their friend's face and ask why he looks like that. The girl approaches to peek at the skills, and the healer quickly closes the panel. She blushes a little and reminds the boy that upon reaching level 30, he can make a job transfer. Luo goes to check the mission for the change and remembers that he also received a secret job as a reward. He activates the secret workbook and has 2 options. Selecting one makes the other disappear permanently. The 2 options are Dark Lord and Evil Doctor, and he thinks about which one he should choose. He looks at the specifications for the Dark Lord option, but believes it won't be suitable for his current skills. The Evil Doctor option fits perfectly, and he feels it would be like opening a box of surprises. He wonders who would refuse the opportunity to perform surgeries without having to take responsibility for the risks. Now our healer was transforming into an evil doctor, and he received the secret mission Silver Heart. He has a deadline of 1 month to kill a humanoid boss of silver level and obtain its heart. Luo explains that the 3 friends now need to go their separate ways. The 2 are disappointed and ask if he wouldn't like help with his transformation. He explains that he will need to kill a boss that is in the tower and prefers to go alone. Manning asks if he is referring to the boss on the 30th floor, which is very dangerous. He stands by his decision and says he is sorry for his friends, because from now on it will be difficult for them to proceed. Chen said that thanks to him, he managed to reach level 26 and make quite a bit of money. Luo then says goodbye to the 2, placing his hand on his companion's shoulder. With a sudden movement, Yanning grabs the young man's hand and asks him to wait a minute. She hands him a stand-in puppet, an item that allows the bearer to withstand a lethal blow. The healer knows how precious this item is to the Ice Princess and declines the gift. In an almost love confession, Yanning says that Lu's safety is more important than any object. The two colleagues of the protagonist then say their final goodbyes and go their separate ways. Now Linlu is truly alone, taking care of himself. Thinking about the gift he just received from Yanning, he wonders if he should return the gesture. In another location, we see Dongfang's team battling powerful monsters. One of Dongfang's friends is exhausted. They have only encountered very strong monsters so far. A man says it is a coincidence that they have met and that they should join forces. He agrees. The leader says that the nearest entrance is near the lava lake, and everyone runs in that direction. The ninja man uses his spectral phantom thunderstorm ability to decimate the enemies. All the warriors combine their strengths to clear a path to the door of the next level. They manage to get through and reach close to the portal and the lava lake. Suddenly, a gigantic wave surges from the lake, surprising everyone. From this wave emerges a horrendous, flaming horned monster. It shoots a blast of lava towards the blonde fighter. This monster is the boss of the 27th floor, the Hellhound King, which lies dormant in the lava lake. One of the warriors realizes it is Dongfang's pet dragon that is irritating the lava monster. The man with red eyes asks if Pan Chen is not saying this to try to escape. Pan says he cares a lot about Dongfang and would never leave him hanging while being targeted by such a powerful boss. Both combine their strengths and charge at the steaming beast. Meanwhile, in another location, we see Yanning and Chen returning from the tower. The girl is embarrassed by the interaction she had with Luo. Chen notices this. She holds back her thoughts since he is alone in the tower now, and she just wants him to be safe. Chen tries to reassure her and calls her sister-in-law. The girl feels embarrassed by this gesture. The boy reveals that he found the love letter she wrote to Luo earlier and knows that she likes him. Until then, Yanning thought he hadn't read it. She asks Chen what his reaction was. The protagonist's friend explains that he believes he does care about Yanning. While the two are talking, two other boys return from the tower somewhat battered. They are Yang Haoran and Zhang Meng from Dongfang's team, which is losing members. The blonde asks Yanning if she is okay and what level she managed to reach. When he approaches, Chen steps in front, telling him not to treat his sister-in-law with such familiarity. Horn can't believe what he just heard, sister-in-law. Haoran still repeats the word that made him shiver, sister-in-law. Chen asks Yanning to accompany him so they can get away and wait for brother Luo. The blonde boy is indignant and asks when Yanning became his sister-in-law. Luo's friend says it is clear to see how close they are, and the girl asks him to stop shouting. Haoran still insists and approaches them, saying that Linlu is just D-rank trash. He ends up letting his emotions flow to the surface and starts insulting the protagonist and his friend. Lu's loyal companions don't let it slide and ask him to pay close attention to his friend's achievements. Chen points to the panel and shows that the partner is on the 27th floor. The blonde can't believe how he managed to bring his friends to the 26th floor and still climb to the 27th alone. The conversation is overheard by many people around who discuss how a priest can achieve such a feat. A gentleman in formal attire calls for Haoran and says that the city guard wants to see him. He goes to a tall and very imposing temple. Upon arriving, Haoran is greeted by the gentlemen who were discussing the tower. The boy had only seen these people on TV, and now they are looking for him. One asks if he noticed any abnormalities or poison on the way to the 27th floor. Haoran denies seeing any poison, but says that the Hellhound King woke up and was eliminated because of him. The gentlemen conclude that the plague was not in the tower but was brought there. An informant warns that besides the favorites, another candidate has reached the 27th floor. The gentleman asked what his name is and what his profession is. The ninja incredulously says that it is Linlu, and he is a D-rank priest. The gentlemen conspire about how a priest could manage, even with Yanning's company. Haoran begins to insist that the protagonist's team must be cheating. The elderly man thinks it wouldn't be possible to cheat in a tower given by the gods. The other bearded man thinks it is still too early to say, but he could be a fallen. They decide that they will need to investigate more cautiously. Meanwhile, Yanning goes to meet her aunt who had called for her. King asks if the Black Death is a skill of Linlu. The girl asks how she knew, and her aunt says she pieced together the facts and guessed. The woman warns that many important people have been eliminated because of Luo, and this could end badly. The young lady panics and asks if her aunt has a solution because she doesn't want her beloved to suffer. King says that the solution to the protagonist's problems is yelling herself. She leans in close to her niece and starts whispering something in her ear. The girl asks if she should tell her father, but her aunt says it's better not to. Apprehensive yet determined, Yanning says she will do anything for Linlu. Our protagonist is surrounded by flaming creatures. Luo is embarrassed to see this situation. His reproductive excitation ability is powerful. A giant lava ball begins to form in front of the boy. It is the Hellhound King, who should normally be asleep but has decided to show up. The hero doesn't seem impressed and dodges a charge from the monster. Despite being badly injured, the monster suddenly decides to confront Luo. Swinging his staff, the hero ends up thanking for facing a boss with weak life. The giant starts charging a magical attack in its maw. Luo prepares the Alzheimer ability so that the boss forgets its skills. Under special circumstances, this ability can cause a magical regression. The protagonist says he will eliminate it while it is weak, and has one more surprise. He unleashes all his debilitating abilities on the boss without mercy. This package of pain he reserves exclusively for bosses. With a shrill scream, the boss seems to be feeling the effects of the abilities, but instead of perishing, it bends down. It remains firm in front of the hero. With eyes shining with hatred, it glares at the protagonist. Luo suspects that the monster is entering berserker mode. The creature turns around. Apparently, it pretended to go berserk but decided to flee. The protagonist will not be merciful and charges another ability in his staff. He casts the mental confusion ability, and the beast feels it strongly. This ability makes the target confused and start attacking anything around it. The boss approaches the monsters that were previously in love. They stop their activities, a bit confused by the situation. With a blast of lava, it eliminates all the poor shameless ones and itself. As a result, it levels up to 31, gains magic crystals and equipment in addition to magic crystal, flame shield, and burning dagger as rewards. He was the first to defeat this boss, as it always fled when losing. Luo prepares to go to the next floor as there are only 2 hours left until the end of the test. Meanwhile, in room number 902 of Nisksuhen, a girl informs her that Lei Mai has been missing since she left the tower. The blonde believes that her ex-friend is avoiding her. She orders that the finances of the trader's family be cut off and wants them expelled. The maid says she can show Suhen the situation in the tower, but she denies it, saying she already knows what is happening. The blonde's predictions are wrong because, in addition to Dongfang, there is a rank D priest on the 28th floor. The girl is surprised by this and asks how this could have happened. Interested, she observes the screen and says she knows the guy and imagines the poison came from him. Zuhin explains that mining is familiar to her and she knows the girl has eyes for Linlu. When asked if she thinks Luo is a potential rival, she says that from what she can see, she believes not. Unless he has tricks up his sleeve, and that excites her. Linlu's achievements have led everyone to comment and think he might have cheated. Niling hears someone saying this and is offended, saying he would never cheat. King believes the hero has the ability not only to break the record, but to become a national champion. The girl asks her aunt if the students from the Imperial College are strong, and she confirms. She explains that the record of these students is 29 floors, but the necromancer who holds the record is no longer in the city. King says that with Linlu's potential, it is possible for him to win the wonder of the world. The young people do not know this reward, and the aunt explains that the champion at the end of the exam will receive it. An instructor appears to congratulate the 2 boys who made it to the 26th floor. She warns them that many important people want to know more about them. Chen informs that the protagonist asked them to say that everything was his doing. Back in the tower, we can see the 29th floor. The floor is inhabited by level 40 harpies and a level 42 bloodthirsty willow tree. Dongfang and his pet dragon are exhausted and panting. He is shocked by the strength of the monsters on this floor and wonders if he should stop there. Keeping himself motivated, the boy wants to surpass Jung Meison's record and be the best. A harpy manages to find him and comes from the sky directly at him with its claws. But before attacking him, the creature stops short on a rock. The boy wonders what happened and if she found someone else. He doesn't think it's possible because he believes he is the only person on that floor. Sneaking to observe, he peeks from behind a rock. He thinks he is seeing a fight between the harpy and the tree, but this fight seems a bit suspicious. Suddenly, the area is filled with harpies and trees interacting in a very physical way. Dongfang realizes that this is not a fight, and his eyes find something he never imagined would be possible. He sees Lu approaching, holding his staff firmly. The protagonist is intrigued by the interactions between plants and animals, once again surprised by his ability. He could take the opportunity to gain experience, but he is short on time and needs to act quickly. Dongfang is confused about the guy's profession and decides he cannot allow him to continue. He opens his inventory and apologizes to his pet dragon, saying he will have to pay. In the palm of his hand, he holds a green energy ball and decides that victory will be his. Already on the 43rd floor, we can see many ice frogs croaking non-stop. Our protagonist reaches this freezing level. He shivers from the cold, knowing that in this place, the temperature can drop to 100 degrees below zero. He has an idea. He will try to use the ability he got from the Hellhound King, Flame Shield. He just has no idea how the mutation of this ability will turn out. The Penicillin Phage Antibody Shield ability devours any elemental power and manufactures antibodies from it, forming a shield. Lu is surprised by his new power, which has many passive effects and makes him resistant. Now he is prepared to face any hostile environment. including the cold he is in. Someone is following him, leaving footprints in the soft snow. Dongfang had to prepare for the cold, but the protagonist walks along carefree. His pet dragon is resistant to the cold, and by swallowing the elixir, he was able to double his strength for 10 minutes. Afterward, he will need to compensate for the loss of his essence due to the side effects. The dragon is indeed much larger, and his master orders him to attack the healer. With his eyes shining in a scarlet energy, the pet prepares for his attack. He approaches the protagonist, who is continuing his path across the ice. Luo notices some strange movement behind him. He manages to dodge the dragon's charge and finds its presence in that place odd. Our healer recognizes the dragon as Dongfang's pet. Lu only finds it strange that he attacked so suddenly. He summons his warriors. With the summoned lizard warriors, he orders an attack. The dragon defends itself by swinging its tail and throwing some lizards away. Additionally, it releases a burst of fire, burning its opponents. The healer knows that the lizards are no match for him, but they are enough to hold him back. He uses his ability Skin Explosion and hits the pet. The ability wasn't very effective, and Lu knows that Dongfang must be hiding nearby. Charging energy in his staff, he decides to use the pet to find its master. Lu casts his ability Mental Confusion on the dragon. This causes it to turn around and start flying towards its master. It collides with the ice wall where Dongfang was hiding. The furious master orders his pet to recover. Since his position has been discovered, he decides to join forces with his dragon and attack together. Lu notices that the pet recovered quickly from the confusion, but it will be different with the master. A scarlet energy in the shape of a claw approaches the boy's face. The healer appears behind Dongfang, and he looks a bit confused. He prepares a strike with his arm, asking how Lu dares to want to fight hand-to-hand. The battle is so intense that one can hear the screams throughout the territory. From the silhouettes of the warriors, we can see that apparently, Dongfang landed the blow. He charges another strike with his hand, Yellow Flash Strike, and a radiant light hits the protagonist, causing his shadow to disappear. Dongfang claims victory, saying that no one can match his profession, Dragon Knight. Lu is behind him, alive and intact, and he asks where his dragon could be. Dongfang's dragon is down and unconscious, and he can hardly believe what he sees. The boy yells at the protagonist, asking what he did to it. Lu tells him to be quiet and wonders if he will still be able to scream. After he tears out his tongue, the boy with red eyes tells him not to get cocky, as he only won because he was injured. The healer finds it absurd that Dongfang gives up but still keeps his nose in the air. But it's better to let that go and go after his class change. From outside the tower, one can see another candidate coming out. A girl says that now only Dongfang and Lu are left and wonders which of the two was eliminated. All the students watching hope that this time the one eliminated will be Lu. These boys are upset because the protagonist was responsible for their defeat. However, to everyone's dismay, it is Dongfang who appears defeated and panting. He has a grim expression and asks if the people want to fight. The frightened people say they would never dare to fight him. One of the boys says he noticed something wrong with his dragon pet. Dongfang looks at his companion and he really seems very uncomfortable. Suddenly, the little dragon releases a foul blast from its rear. Everyone around is disgusted and feels like vomiting because the smell is truly horrible. With much nausea, Dongfang knows this was Lu's doing and prophesizes that he will pay tomorrow. Meanwhile, somewhere in Dongfang's house, a seated man says that he here must be leading at this moment, and that is no challenge for him. The patriarch says it's hard to assert that, and the other replies that his opponent is someone of low rank. Being a priest, it is to be expected that he used some secret tactic to reach the floor. The seated man says that the future of the family lies in Hire's potential and does not want to lose any more grandchildren. Adjusting his glasses, Daezong observes a torch on the wall and seems worried. He receives a notification on his watch that his son has been eliminated. It also says that the dragon is in an embarrassing situation that has affected many other candidates. Back in the frozen floor, we see level 43 poisonous ice frogs. Lu is hiding behind an ice wall and casts his Skin Explosion spell. The unsuspecting frog is affected by the ability, and its skin explodes. However, it notices the author of this spell and looks in his direction. The little creature is furious and inflates its body and skin, preparing an attack. The protagonist realizes that this is a self-destruction and acts to prevent it. He casts his Alzheimer spell, causing the amphibian to be unable to complete the ability. Thus, the frog is eliminated, and our healer receives his experience points. Observing what the enemy dropped, he thinks that if the self-destruction had worked, it would have been complicated. Lu obtains an item that, when consumed, increases spiritual power by 1. But has no limit. He is suspicious because normally these items have limits, but he believes it shouldn't be fake. Maybe when the frogs explode, they take the pearls with them. Since low-level warriors can't defeat the frog without exploding it, it's a pretty rare item. Moreover, more than rare, it's an unexplored treasure, and he decides to experiment. We continue to see our hero defeating the frogs with his skills. The icy amphibian inflates quite a bit after receiving the skin explosion. Lu lies in wait, just waiting for the scene to conclude. Then the frog explodes, causing a loud bang and throwing snow everywhere. This time he receives the experience but not the item since the creature exploded. The greedy healer is already ready for the next one. He decides he will deal with them in the shortest time possible and arrives at a location with several. Summoning lizard warriors, he commands an attack. The frogs approach, swollen like balloons and croaking non-stop. The boy points his staff at them and tells them not to even think about exploding. Some of them lose body parts and start flying through the air. Lu prepares himself, facing the crowd of icy amphibians. The noise from the attacks attracted several of them, and that's exactly what our protagonist wanted. He managed to infect the frogs that didn't explode with his deadly viruses. The air on the floor is now filled with various types of viruses, and now he is ready to use them. He shouts Black Death Outbreak. As a result, he reaches level 36 and gains several pearls, but he is exhausted. Despite being tired, he is satisfied because he managed to get 248 pearls. Consuming them, he feels his strength increasing substantially. Feeling his head refreshed, the hero manages to double his spiritual energy. The demonic rune absorbed enough substances to enhance its effects. He holds the rune in his hands, analyzing its secret effects. This rune increases attributes, transforms into creatures, and absorbs energy. While contemplating the effects of his equipment, a large shadow approaches him. The healer notices some different presence. It is the Ice Poison Toad King, level 45, and significantly larger than the other frogs. Lu gets excited since the enemy arrived just in time for him to test his new powers. Suddenly, the toad can only see a blur of red energy. Another smaller frog appears before him, and the boss is confused. This frog is Luo. His new ability allows him to transform into other creatures. He knows the air is infested with viruses, and even if he does nothing, the boss will die. The little healing frog approaches the boss's rear and finds the perfect angle. Returning to his original form, he uses his skin explosion ability. The poor toad has its rear blown up in a very unpleasant way. Definitely feeling a lot of pain, the boss croaks loudly. To complete his combo, Lu unleashes his diarrhea loose ability, and the fate of the icy toad is anything but pleasant. This is the new combo from our protagonist's rear, capable of hurting even bosses. However, from the toad's sticky eyes comes a freezing blue ray. It is the freezing light ability directed at Lu. Fortunately for our hero, the attack does not hit him. The protagonist is impressed by the strength of the attack and knows that if he had been hit, he would have died. Once again, the great amphibian tries to unleash its eye attack. To defend himself, our healer uses his Alzheimer ability. In addition to that, some energy hands approach the boss's eye, and thus, the skin explosion puts on its show, destroying the enemy's eye. Now that Lu has attacked his opponent's eyes, he will no longer be able to use that ability. And now it is time for our merciless healer to act. Our imposing protagonist is observing the battlefield. Lizard warriors attack the boss frog in groups. Without its eye, the amphibian croaks furiously but is already losing strength. Lu realizes that it is trying to self-destruct and prevents it with the Alzheimer ability. After the long battle, he manages to eliminate the Frog King and levels up to 36. The healer notices that the boss left many items as a reward. He decides to learn the Frozen Light skill book first, and then Lu learns the Owl Spread ability. He knows that this ability is a deadly and incurable disease that can be very useful. The pearl he obtained from the boss is also good because it can grant him a super ability. By consuming this pearl, his spiritual power increased by 10, and he acquired 2 abilities. The Adrenaline Rush ability increases reaction time but has a limit, otherwise it consumes the user's mind. He is excited because the strength of this power is equivalent to the amount of his spiritual strength. Outside the tower, Dongfang is receiving medical treatment. The other students are disappointed that the boy was humiliated by his own pet. Almost one can see the aura of resentment, and he promises that he will kill Lu tomorrow. While they were distracted by the dragon dung, the priest reached level 29. No one can believe this situation. Everyone is extremely shocked. And then they see that Linlu has reached the 30th floor, impacting everyone. Chen and Mining are very proud of their friend who just broke all the records. The gentlemen observing the tower's progress are all astonished. The Dongfang family has always been very arrogant, and they never imagined that someone would defeat them. Zuhen is watching the hero's progress and believes he is now the #1 in the country. She begins to consider that it might be good for him to become a member of the Murong family. Back in the tower, we see the 30th floor, which is a dense forest full of bats. Our protagonist arrives at the location, prepared for more challenges. Since he spent a lot of time in the frozen frogs, he decided to go as fast as he could on the 29th floor. With the monsters on that floor being super aggressive, his mental abilities resolved quickly. He decides to use the bats to reach the floor boss quickly. These bats are the sinking bat of level 45 and are the most common on the floor. Luo charges his skin explosion ability to start the chaos. One of the bats that was hanging suffers the effects and dies. This causes the other hundreds of creatures to awaken. The healer is patiently waiting atop a tree. He uses his ability to transform into a creature. By turning into a bat, he manages to deceive the others and pass by them smoothly. Taking advantage of his new ability, he flies over the area looking for the boss. Luo spots a gigantic cemetery. In this location, he locates humanoid monsters and then imagines that his boss is one too. The blood servants are elite creatures and are probably guarding the boss. The protagonist returns to his original form and begins the battle with mental confusion. This affects the two bodyguards of the boss. In a quick lunge, he takes the opportunity and manages to slip past. For him, the farther away he fights, the better, so he sneaks along the path. Luo reaches the fallen baron of level 50, the boss of the area, who is unconscious. Taking advantage of the fact that the big monster is sleeping, he decides to start with skin explosion. But his initial ability seems to not work very well. He is surprised by an instant ability. Discouraged, Luo realizes that as a boss, he would not be defeated so easily. Some movement surprises our protagonist. Black blood emerges from the ground and begins to merge into a large slime. This slime forms a humanoid with long silver hair. The humanoid is terrifying and starts screaming while looking at Luo. The hero's enemy can regenerate its blood, so normal methods will not kill it. The scream that the boss unleashed was not just a scream but a sound attack. Our healer manages to jump out of the attack's perimeter and escape, but he realizes that he miscalculated, and that he would fall into a place full of monsters, so he decides to use a trick up his sleeve. With his thumb, he presses the area under his belly, and this activates the adrenaline rush ability. Luo manages to kick the head of one of the monsters that was below him. Feeling his body filled with energy, he can barely control himself due to the speed. His enemy is transmuting into two slimy silhouettes and ready to attack him. These silhouettes are Blood Shadow, two clones that possess the strength of the original body. With his astounding agility, our protagonist manages to dodge the attacks. But the boss tries again, coming at the hero. The monster uses its Blood Flames ability and forms red flames in the area. The boss's eyes are now fixed on the healer with great hatred and malice. But the skilled hero uses his resistant shield and manages to withstand the flames. Stepping firmly on the ground, Luo decides it's time to counterattack. Like a rocket being launched, he flies up towards the boss with great speed. He circles his opponent, and all this movement raises dust and air. The boss is bewildered as he cannot keep up with the healer's movements. While making his moves, he charges the skin explosion several times. The villain's body disintegrates from the waist up, and a lot of black liquid gushes out. But within seconds, he is already regenerating. Luo realizes that as long as the enemy has blood, he will be able to reconstruct himself. The battle continues with both combatants trying to hit their targets. The healer decides to use his Owl Spread ability, and several daggers fall. He notices that the bodies of the clones seem to be made of blood and decides to try the new technique. Some daggers thrown by the hero hit the clones squarely. Apparently, this was effective because one of the clones begins to suffer from the effects. Luo notes that the ability worked very well. Vampires have this weakness, not necessarily because of the ability, but rather the symptom of blood coagulation. Enraged, the boss charges at the protagonist, ready to attack him with his claws. The healer diverts the path of the daggers so that they hit the boss. However, he manages to dodge the daggers and repel most of them. One of them hits him in the arm, but he amputates it himself to prevent coagulation. The protagonist finds this technique clever, but how many more parts can he cut off? Luo manages to transform the boss into a gigantic crystal made of the same material as the daggers. The enemy seems finally defeated and severely injured. The hero knows he could revive him, so he will use a specific blood-related ability. He wonders if the vampire will remain immortal if his blood is burned. Luo uses the abilities Blood Fever and Pain Intensification towards the crystal. The crystal, along with the boss's body, is shattered into 1,000 pieces. As a consequence, Luo levels up to level 40 and gains some rewards. Breathless, he can now feel the side effects of adrenaline rush. The golden point he received can unlock secret effects of abilities and has many uses. He decides to enhance the antibody ability since it was essential in this last battle. Luo uses his golden point on this ability and activates its special effects. The healer notices something different happening. A fluffy little ball of light appears, and it is the penicillin elf, which can be very useful as a companion. The protagonist is impressed because the little ball can learn his mutant abilities. He decides to name his newest companion Little Green. Additionally, the hero also receives the vampire's core and the vampire's essence. The vampire's heart will be used to complete the mission, and the essence is super rare. In this world, it is possible to change your race to learn new abilities, like alien, orc, or elf. Luo believes that the weakness of vampires is very obvious but will keep the item for now. Regarding the items, the hero receives the Scroll of First Embrace, Blood Wings, and Eye of Vampire. The two pieces of equipment together add 60% damage absorption and spell penetration. The ability he receives seems powerful but can only be learned by vampires. In a moment of carelessness, the scroll slips from Lu's hand. The learning screen opens but states that he does not meet the requirements to learn. But surprisingly, a new ability is added, T-virus infection. The healer then realizes that his mutation ability can work even in these situations. The T-virus ability enhances the genetic properties of organisms and turns them into zombies, which is frightening because this world is full of professionals and monsters. If these individuals turn into zombies, he can hardly imagine what the consequences would be. Lu decides to avoid using this ability as it seems too frightening. Our protagonist still has 5 minutes, so he decides to continue his mission. His silhouette is covered by a red and blue aura. He completes the Silver Heart mission and changes his profession to Evil Doctor. Now it is no longer about being a priest or a nurse, but rather a malevolent doctor. The people outside the tower are intrigued because it is almost time to finish, and Lu still hasn't come out. The girl announcing says that there are only 2 minutes left until it ends. News about the protagonist spreads, and they exaggerate some information. People start investigating his past and devising plans to recruit him. Meanwhile, at the city guard, the ninja calls for his superior. He explains to the man that some families are furious with Linlu and others want to recruit him. The man says that this should not be a cause for concern. The ninja continues his statement, saying they found a fallen. This information frightens the old man, who looks incredulously at his informant. He fears for Lu's life, and that being targeted by a fallen would be a great danger. The man asks to mobilize 2 guardians to protect the protagonist. And finally, our newest evil doctor is leaving the tower. The announcer proudly comments that the first place is once again among everyone. A crowd of other competitors begins to insult and charge at the hero. Many students are nervous because he eliminated them. The young friend of the protagonist runs towards him. She hugs him tightly with tenderness, surprising him. And charmingly, she brings her lips close to her beloved's lips. The passionate kiss between Mining and Lu surprises everyone around. The audience begins to suspect that the Lian family is behind all of Lu's success. The 2 lovebirds release each other from their loving embrace. Extremely flushed, the girl stutters the protagonist's name. He seems touched in a way. She decides that whatever this means, they should each go home. The girl's long hair leaves a trail of perfume. Night falls, and we can see a beautiful full moon in a big city. Chen is curious about the kiss, but Lu says that Mining did that to spare him from trouble. The protagonist can feel the presence of a stranger. A man with red hair is balanced among the strands of energy, watching them. The redhead is a messenger from the Lian family and tells Lu not to wish for something beyond his level. The evil doctor stares fearlessly at the messenger and asks what will happen if he insists on wishing. 2 other uniformed men are nearby and decide not to intervene for now. The man who is smoking gets startled and begins to find the boy's aura strange. A purple and turquoise energy forms in an oval shape. The 2 uniformed men decide to descend and notice Fallen's presence. It is the Lord of the Dark Mist, and they are surprised to see that he came to deal with a rank D warrior. It must be some special item that contains part of the Dark Lord's powers to isolate the space. These uniformed men are from the city guard and were hired to protect Lu. They are grateful for the Lian family man being present as he can help. Chen, Lu, and the man from the Lian family are trapped in the purple and turquoise mist. The redhead draws his axe and believes that it was not the Lord of the Dark Mist who came. Chen has heard of him, that he is one of the most powerful fallen professionals of all. The man in glasses says he will take care of this for the sake of his lady, and that they should follow him to the weak point of the mist. Behind the 3, a noise is heard, and someone in black shoes approaches. It is a girl with green hair who says she didn't even bring the root of the black mist, and they already want to flee. The red-haired boy begins to blaze while holding his axe. The girl orders that wolf number 13 play with him. As she comes back engulfed in flames, the redhead approaches the henchman with sharp claws. The henchman shows his true form, a humanoid wolf with sharp claws. With a swing of his axe, the boy from the Lian family manages to kick up dust in the area. The girl was looking for Lu and asks if he would like to join the Night Watch. Chen steps forward and tells her not to come closer, or he will have to act. The protagonist asks what the Night Watch is, if it is an organization of the Fallens. The girl calls him little brother and says that Fallen is just a dirty name they made up. She brings her hand close to the boy's face, lifting his chin with her index finger, and she claims that in reality, they are the true saviors. Lu looks shocked by the information. His expression changes. The woman explains that to sustain life in the world and have a future, they believe in the evil god. Among the 13 masters, there is one who deals the poison and would love to have him as a disciple. Chen looks very worried, but Lu asks him not to stress. The woman says he will have no choice and commands Ghost 27 to go after him. The ghost asserts that when they catch him, Gu will make him kneel and comply. Some specters approach the protagonist, and the ghost asks them to hold him. However, the chief ghost is surprised to forget how the spell to summon other spirits works. A cloud of dust rises toward him. Lu had cast his Alzheimer's spell and asks him not to take him for a fool. The powerless enemy falls hard to the ground. He holds his head with his hands and begins to scream in despair. The girl gets irritated by Lu's action and calls him trash. With her power, she begins to lift roots from the ground and says she will have to do everything alone. From the roots, some threatening carnivorous plants form. Chen shouts for his brother to protect himself and run. However, the protagonist does not let himself be intimidated. Raising his staff and placing his other hand on the ground, he prepares mental confusion. The green-haired woman feels the consequences of this ability and puts her hand on her head, and something makes her very surprised. Lu is getting closer and closer. She uses her ability courting death. Tentacles grab the protagonist's arms and neck. The boy is torn apart, his body splits into two parts, and he screams in agony. Laughing uncontrollably, the girl says this is what happens when they mess with her. But suddenly, her eyes cannot believe what they see. The poor ghost is on the ground and asks why Xiaoman did this to him. She points at the protagonist, screaming that he is to blame for this. In doubt about whether he is a mental manipulation spell or a dark priest, she understands that he is not a rank D. The worst part is that while he is using the ability, he makes his false moves. Xiaoman is furious and will not forgive him for killing her guard. Raising her arms, she invokes several plants with her Xamon Kun Wood Realm ability. The roots rise and fly swiftly towards Chen and Lu. A gigantic explosion raises a large cloud of dust. Lu's brother warns that if they only keep dodging, they won't last long. Our protagonist asks him not to worry because she will be the first to die. The girl is impatient and furious and asks where the ability he just used is. While continuing her attacks, she screams for him to show her how arrogant he is. But something catches the attention of the plant girl. Her face has a green stain. She looks at her body and begins to notice that many spots are appearing. Could it be a virus? Despite having kept her distance from Lu, his little friend managed to reach her and infected her. He used the Black Death Outbreak ability on the girl. The young woman begins to feel weak and lose consciousness. Wondering how this happened, she starts to fall towards the ground. Chen asks if she is dead, but Lu says that not even she knows for sure if she is or not. The protagonist wonders what is happening in the fight on the other side. Although he doesn't like that red-haired guy, he knows that the Fallen are the biggest enemies there and decides to help him. One can see a warrior with a flaming axe battling against the wolf. The wolf is looking to the side while fighting the boy. The red-haired one finds this outrageous and very disrespectful. Defending himself, the monster says he wasn't distracted and holds the attack. Daring to say no only makes the flaming one even angrier. The Fallen seems to be in pain and has his arm on his abdomen. He wonders why his stomach hurts, as if it were full of too much food. He seems to be holding something with all his strength. The monster turns around looking for a bathroom because all that supposed food is about to come out. The red-haired one holds his weapon and says it's better if he doesn't dare to escape. With a lightning strike from his flaming axe, he charges forward. He returns to his original form and asks Lin to wait because he solved the problem and will help them. But when he looks for the protagonist, he realizes they have already taken care of everything. The situation is strange because the woman was the strongest among the Fallen there, and the wolf acted strangely. So he decides to approach our protagonist and his brother. Looking into Lu's eyes, he asks what his profession is. The boy replies that it's nothing special. He is just a priest. We see a strike hitting the purple and turquoise mist. The hands of someone touch the ground of the place. Lu's two bodyguards appear somewhat late. The man with less hair comments that the dark mist is dispersing. The two naively imagine that Linlu has been murdered and that they will have to avenge him. As the mist dissipates, we can see the silhouettes of the dead Fallen. The two guards cannot believe what they are seeing. They are stunned to see that 3 famous Fallen are dead. Lu is confused and asks who those 2 boys are. The 2 uniformed boys introduce themselves, saying they are there to protect him. They show a badge and ask him to tell them what happened inside the mist. The red-haired boy asks them to question Lu because he needs to do something else. The guards are happy to see that Lu is well and ask again what happened. When Chen was about to start telling, the protagonist interrupts him and says it was thanks to the help of the Lian family. The 2 guards listen attentively and apparently believe the information. The evil doctor is a bit nervous about having to lie but maintains his version. They then ask Lu to try to stay safe at home because this time of year is dangerous. One of the guards believes that the protagonist is obviously lying, but they leave. The smoker explains that he probably didn't want to talk, and they can't force him. Speaking of Xiaoman, she is not just anyone. She was one of the highest status among the Fallen. The situation is no longer within their reach, and they must report to the city guard. Chen comments that it's his first time seeing guards, and he found it amazing. These guards are part of the Dragon Kingdom, and their powers are overwhelming. Their purpose of existence is not only to protect, but also to restrict. Professionals usually love their freedom, and the guards can interfere with that. Chen is worried about the master of poisons who might be looking for him. Lu explains that he shouldn't worry because they are out of the city and the bosses won't reach them there. The boy's brother says that even if they are just small fish, they would still be dangerous. The protagonist asks if he thinks the Lian family name is just for show. He picks up his phone, and a conversation between him and Mining appears. She asks if he is okay. Our hero replies that he is perfectly fine. At the city guard, someone reports that 35 professionals were attacked and 7 died, and 27 fallen were eliminated, 11 captured alive, and 25 escaped. The man seems quite disappointed with the news that 7 new professionals were killed. It may not seem like much, but the fallen only target the strongest professionals, so it is a significant loss. A guard reports that Linlu was attacked by Xiaoman and her troop but managed to win. The leader of the guards praises his informant, saying he managed to protect Lu and even kill Xiaoman. The guard says he misunderstood. In fact, it was Linlu who did everything. In disbelief, the man shouts and asks how it is possible for a new professional to kill a fallen. The man asks the guard to recount exactly what happened. He explains that he doesn't know the details but that Lu was accompanied by a guard from the Lian family. They managed to analyze that the wolf died from a hatchet attack despite having diarrhea. The man reflects on this information, and if Lu can manipulate Black Plague, diarrhea is nothing. Yang Gitu died from blows dealt by his loyal partner Xiaoman, who seemed to be confused. A high amount of Black Plague virus was detected in the girl. The guard says he suspects that Linlu was the cause of all this and that he is not just a simple priest. Despite the evidence, the older man believes it is still too early to draw conclusions. Because Xiaoman is related to Elder Poison and now she has been killed by Lu, the guard fears that hearing that name makes the man tremble with rage. He says he will be capable of terrible things if he appears. In another location, we see Yining arguing with her father about her feelings for Lu, which he does not accept. Her father explains that she is already promised in an arranged marriage that was difficult to secure. She screams in anger, saying it is not right for him to ignore her wishes. This stance from the girl makes her father very nervous. King interjects, saying that the brother should let his daughter pursue her own happiness. It is a rainy night, and the family discussion goes on for a long time. Dawn breaks, and the day is beautiful. The sky is blue, and the students are gathering at the temple. The individual challenge is about to begin, and the candidates are entering. There will be 2 rounds. In the first, there will be 1 versus 1 competitions, and the top 16 will enter the second round. Those who manage to reach the final round will meet the finalists tomorrow. Chen warns that he will not be defeated in the first round, and thanks to Lu, he is now in the top ranks. He adds that Dongfang is well behind his sister-in-law, and she is happy to be called that. Lu seems to have heard him call her that, and he doesn't mind. It could be good news. The beautiful blonde girl approaches the protagonist, confirming her name. She introduces herself to him, and they greet each other with a handshake. The girl gets straight to the point and says she is there to invite him to explore a new dungeon. The protagonist asks why she chose him. Zuhan explains that the difficulty of the place is suitable for them, and that the rewards will be good. The girl believes she could manage alone, but if she can bring Lu along, they could develop a relationship. Even if they don't manage to complete the dungeon, being more than friends and less than lovers would already be great. However, Lu says he will have to decline, and the girl asks why. Since he has already completed the job transfer, it would be impossible to enter this dungeon. When a new professional reaches level 30, he must enter the Black Iron Realm and become a true professional. After reaching level 50, he can undergo the 3rd transformation and enter the Bronze Realm. The next levels are 80 for Silver Realm and 100 for Gold Realm. To reach the Epic Realm, one must be level 500. Zuhan is impressed. The boy hasn't even finished his exams and is already in a higher category than everyone. Dongfang interrupts the conversation, shouting that Lu, besides embarrassing him, is trying to seduce his fiancé. The blonde explains that she hasn't accepted any proposals yet, but he says he knows she will. The blonde boy with a bandana is also furious with Lu and says he will make him beg for mercy in front of Mining. The protagonist calls the blonde a pest and says he will help Mining get rid of him. For the next competition, a list of competitors was created in random order. The candidates are asked to move to the arena in order. Dongfang is determined to confront Lu and make him feel a pain worse than death. Mining is worried about her beloved, wondering if she should talk to her father, but Lu denies it. Even after being beaten by the protagonist in the tower, Dongfang remains arrogant, so he will be destroyed. The first match will be between the D-rank priest Linlu and the B-rank axe warrior Zhang Qi. Zhang is part of the crowd that is angry with Lu for being eliminated. The hammer wielder charges in with blood in his eyes imagining he will crush the priest. At the exact moment he moves, his stomach makes a strange noise and he feels something. The armored guy stops moving immediately, and Lu even taunts him. The poor guy can no longer hold it and releases a putrid cloud of diarrhea. Others can smell the rotten odor and feel distressed, just like with the dragon. They wonder if this is also part of Linlu's abilities. The judge declares the protagonist the victor and asks the staff to come clean up as quickly as possible. We move on to the next battle of our evil doctor, him against Qinfeng Yixiu. The opponent prepares the status resistance skill scroll. He also takes various types of antidotes to prevent any issues. Still with his mouth full of medicines, he says he is ready for Lu's dirty skills. These skills and medicines are expensive, and the hero believes the opponent got all this from someone. Confident, the healer believes the level difference will be too great for him to withstand. And sure enough, the opponent, despite all this preparation, begins to feel the consequences of the skills. Once again, we see another disgusting explosion of diarrhea cover the entire place. Some spectators have already prepared and come with gas masks to endure it. After the fight, we see a bucket of water being dumped on the arena floor. The poor staff has to deal with all that mess and clean everything up. Some people shout that Lu's skills should be banned. A group of protesters starts shouting for them to be banned due to the pollution. In addition to the spectators, the Dongfang family also requested that the skills be banned. The organizer says that if they want the skill banned, then so be it. Since he can easily defeat the Fallens, it surely wasn't just with diarrhea, and the gentleman also wants to see more of his abilities. An announcer appears for the audience and informs them that the diarrhea skill is banned. The crowd gets excited, imagining that now Lu will no longer be able to emerge victorious. He then thinks that if they don't want it the gentle way, he will have to act brutally. The next clash will be between Linlu and Yang Horan. The blonde seems nervous, and Dongfang warns that he has given him several tools to exhaust Lu. The boy with red eyes says that if he is successful, he will have a great future. This excites Yang, and he runs off to his battle against the priest. Dongfang does not believe he will be able to kill the healer, but rather force him. He really doesn't care at all about Yang's well-being. The blonde warrior draws his flaming sword and says that without the diarrhea, Lu is nothing but a priest. What can he do against an A-rank swordsman like Horan? He doesn't wait and uses his flame slash against the protagonist. When the fire subsides a bit, we can see a kind of shield. Lu is surrounded by protection and asks if that was all he could do. Yang does not give up and says it is not over yet. He unleashes Ice Soul Slash and Ice and Fire Extinction at once. The audience is amazed by his powers, which are not only close combat but also elemental. Everyone imagines that since Linlu is a priest, he won't be able to defend against this, but our protagonist is completely fine, surrounded by a crystal protection. Yang is incredulous and very irritated, unable to react, and Lu says that now it is his turn to take some hits. The evil doctor emits waves of energy that reach the blonde but cause nothing. The swordsman believes that the equipment and potions he received may have protected him. However, seconds later, he begins to feel a strong itch in a part of his body. The itch is so absurd that his eyes roll back, and he knows it comes from a part down below. Lu explains that he only used a small skill, as he has many more. Our protagonist used the skills Gonorrhea Spread and Syphilis Outbreak. The evil doctor approaches his opponent. He imagines that all that ice has diminished his ability and plans to eliminate him. Lu uses his skill Pain Intensification, and the poor Yang suffers the consequences. He loses consciousness, and Linlu emerges victorious once again. In a medical room, the doctor laments how the youth of today cannot hold themselves back. Yang explains that it wasn't his fault and asks if there will be a cure for his private parts. The doctor explains that they tried everything, but the only way to save his life would be to remove them. These words pierce Yang's heart like knives. Then the doctor begins to prepare to remove them. Back at the test, we see two fighters competing while Dongfang watches. His phone rings, and upon answering, he asks how Yang is doing. He cannot contain his voice and shouts angrily about the removal of his member. Realizing he has gone too far, he speaks more softly, saying he will be cautious against Linlu. As they overheard the conversation, the people around are perplexed by the poor Yang's situation. The lesson learned is, no matter what happens, never provoke Linlu. In Arena number 5, a battle between two beautiful girls and former friends is about to begin. Zuin asks if her opponent wants to say her last words. Mai is extremely irritated and says she will finish her off today and win the championship. The blonde jumps with her beautiful high-heeled shoe. She wonders if Mi is overestimating herself or underestimating her. As she makes her wings appear, she says she will make Mai see the difference in their levels. The silver-haired girl does not back down and launches her skill, Exploding Flame Ball. They reach the blonde but cannot penetrate her protective layer. Judging that skill to be insignificant, she prepares to counterattack. She uses her imposing Holy Light of Judgment and brightens the area. Golden feathers and smoke rise and adorn the arena. When the smoke dissipates, Mei is seen fallen, and Suhai emerges victorious. All the spectators had already imagined this would be the outcome, as the blonde is an S-rank angel. Mi lifts her head and says that she may have lost, but she will never surrender to the blonde. The angel girl casts a piercing gaze and her skill wholly like compulsion. Her opponent's eyes shine just like hers, as if in a form of hypnosis. This causes her to kneel and say she will follow all her orders. Xuhai orders her to summarize everything she knows about Dongfang in half an hour. The duration of the mind control of this skill works according to the level difference, in this case 72 hours. This time will be enough to gather sufficient information about Dongfang. This concludes the first round of the competition, and now we will move on to the second round. Xuhai emerged victorious against her ex-friend and will be ready for the next segment. Dongfang also managed to advance and is eager to meet Lu. Other powerful competitors are also present at this stage. The protagonist finds it strange that no one is coming to challenge him. The crowd shouts that Linlu's methods are very cruel and that they believe all his skills should be banned. The boy connects the dots and imagines that Yang will have to be emasculated, but this does not surprise him. A barefoot approaches and steps into the arena. It is the A-class mage Fang Yuan who is brave enough to challenge him. The healer gives a mischievous smile, asking if he is not afraid. Fang says that his techniques can withstand anything and that he is ready. He forms a weapon with his hand and points it at Lu, ready to unleash his skill. A yellow energy ball forms around the protagonist. It feels as if he is in a swamp. It is difficult to move, and the opponent wants to keep his distance. The mage combines the skills 5 Ki, 4 Cs, and Calm Flow. He shouts that he is a forbidden spell mage and would never be afraid of a mere priest. The energy ball holding Lu is now surrounded by lightning and electricity. The skills were not only launched quickly, but are also very powerful. Now the spectators believe that the priest may be in trouble. But to Fang's surprise, Lu is still speaking, and from within his crystal protection, he says that now it is his turn to make a move. Trying to cast more skills quickly, the mage does not even notice that he has a little creature on his neck. He only realizes it when he feels something strange. Lu's shiny little partner uses the skill Skin Explosion, and suddenly, the mage, who seemed to have the advantage, simply explodes in pain. With crossed arms and a very provocative demeanor, the protagonist asks why he fell if he didn't even attack. The poor mage is lying in front of his opponent and is apparently badly injured. The evil doctor continues to taunt him, asking him to show more skills. Still with a trick up his sleeve, Fang charges a skill with his hand, but it will come at a price. Impressed by the perseverance of the young mage, the audience comments in awe. They believe that if he keeps fighting, Fang's fate could be worse than losing his private parts. The mage raises his hand and says he surrenders. Accepting his defeat, he states that this is just a game and he doesn't want to risk his life. After Fang Yuan was defeated, no one else wanted to challenge the protagonist, and even though it wasn't as easy for him, Suhin, Dongfang, and Chen Pingyan managed to advance as well. The organizer wonders how many more tricks Lu has, and that many families are behind the reward for the test. He imagines how the families will react when a priest comes and takes their reward. A man is in the middle of the crowd, sees Lu, and wonders if he was the one who killed his niece. He says that the old man sent him, an elder, to integrate into this worthless body. Dongfang and Fang are talking. He is disappointed that Fang admitted defeat. The mage believes that Lu is on much higher level than they are. Dongfang understands that he will need to prepare for battle as if he were preparing for a boss fight. Yining, Lu, and Chen are walking peacefully. The girl shares that she couldn't win against Suyen, and Lu reassures her that it was because of the profession. The protagonist doesn't understand why she chose the angel girl as an opponent. There were easier ones. In reality, Yining just wanted to show that she wouldn't lose the protagonist to that blonde girl, and theoretically, the two should be friends, but she ended up losing the battle. She informs them that her house is that way and says goodbye to her friends. The two continue walking through the city. They cross a traffic light and walk a bit further. Chen suggests that if Lu wins first place, he should treat everyone to a meal. Chen and Lu continue walking when someone finds them and calls for the protagonist. It's the teacher, and she says she has matters to discuss with him. Every year, the best students give a presentation for the newcomers, and this year it will be him. The boy feels a bit anxious about the idea of giving this presentation. Lu isn't interested, but the teacher insists and says she will write the script for him. He keeps walking, and the persistent lady tries to convince him with food. Suddenly, some hooded men appear, blocking the boy's path. Already preparing her attack, the woman warns that these individuals are fallen. She activates her water barrier around them and manages to create a protective barrier. Then, grabbing our protagonist's arm tightly, the girl shouts for him to run in the direction she was going, but Lu pulls his arm away and tells her to let go. The boy asks who she is, as his teacher can't use an instant skill. The traffic light in front of them turns red. With a malicious laugh, the imposter begins to regain her composure. Her form changes in a terrifying way, and she repeats the protagonist's question. Now a man responds that when he makes a clone, his target is completely destroyed. The healer becomes extremely furious with the villain's disregard and malicious words. Approaching Lu with his hand ready to strike, he says he will find her soon, but the unfortunate one is surprised by an extremely quick movement from Lu. The boy manages to evade the villain, getting behind him in seconds. With hatred in his eyes, the hero positions himself next to his friend and is ready to kill the scoundrel. Laughing disdainfully, the hooded man doubts that this is possible with his current strength. As he speaks, some silhouettes breach the water barrier. A swift movement causes an unexpected explosion for the heroes. They are the men tasked with protecting Lu's integrity. One threatens Du Cheng, asking how he has the audacity to come to the city. This hooded man is Duke Seoman's uncle and is seeking revenge for what happened to her. The protector calmly uses a lighter to light a cigarette. Du Cheng is a Class S criminal whose specialty is making clones. No longer alone, the villain claims he has already killed other guardians in the past. The smoker asks Lu if the diarrhea only hits a single target or can hit a group. Upon learning that it only hits one, he asks the hero to coordinate his movements with his. Our protagonist is even excited about being able to use his abilities in a big event. Now the clash begins, and the villains and heroes approach swiftly. The smoking boy is skilled and manages to take down one of the wrongdoers with a kick. Another criminal comes close with a dagger, and he is wide open. But before this guy could do anything, he starts to feel a pain in his stomach. He realizes it is Lu's ability making its presence known. Our evil doctor keeps his focus, and his throwing distance is very good. As the man was distracted, the guardian seizes the opportunity to deliver the final blow. Finishing his precise cut, he shouts a compliment to Lu and asks him to keep up the good work. One of the hooded figures charges at him and asks if he thinks they are unprepared. The guy transforms into a giant creature made of stone, surprising everyone. An elemental does not have a digestive system, so diarrhea won't work on him. The morale of the other villains rises, and they all begin to prepare for the next strikes. Lu does not give up and starts trying to find an escape. He notices that all the other fallen seem to have come prepared to deal with him. Du Cheng starts shouting Lu's name while changing his form. To deal with him, the villain made all the necessary preparations. He transforms into a kind of monstrous humanoid wolf. Approaching Lu, he shouts that his tricks will be of no use now. The duo of heroes seems apprehensive about the villain's charge and transformation. Fortunately, the two manage to dodge the monster's attack, which destroys the wall behind them. Chen knows that in a fight of this level, he cannot interfere. The poor healer has barely recovered from the charge, and an air monster is behind him, ready to attack. He realizes it is too late to try to dodge the attack, and he takes the punch from the winged man squarely, being thrown far away. The blow is so strong that it creates a hole in the wall. However, Lu prepares his protective barrier, and despite being injured, he is still standing. Although the shield blocked the attack, the shockwave of the energy still hit his body. The humanoid hurricane screams that his tricks are useless given the perfect countermeasures. Irritated, the protagonist says that the wind monster is overthinking things. An arm made of pure energy materializes and delivers a powerful punch to the monster's hand. Our evil doctor regains his composure and says that the fight in the arena was just the tip of the iceberg. Surprised, the villain is shocked that Lu is using a scalpel as a weapon for combat. His energetic arms approach the creature, and he says he will conduct a little test. Casting his ability, he manages to eliminate one of his enemy's arms. Not knowing how this happened, the winged creature is incredulous, searching for its hand. Just a gust was enough to rip the hand off a giant elemental, and the villain is stunned. Preparing for his next attack, the hero takes a combat stance. He uses his Blood Wings equipment, and two sinister Blood Wings appear. Charging at the air monster, he announces that now he will begin the surgery. Unleashing a series of deformities on the monster, its nose starts to grow at its waist. The doctor's energetic arms bring the scalpels together like a signature of the artwork, and thus the evil doctor concludes his first surgery on his first unfortunate patient. Lu asks if the villain is satisfied with the result. The monster can barely speak because its mouth is on its backside, but it is still alive. Du Cheng grabs the deformed body of the Windman. The monster believes that killing Lu is the solution for him to return to normal. His partner says that even sympathizing with him, it is quite strange to talk to a butt. The wolf concludes that if the scalpel does not touch him, everything will be fine. Lu is determined and says that now he will be next. Taking a battle position, the monster calls forth his dart beasts, and several furious crows appear flying towards Lu. Defending against the Pecks, he is surprised to see that the villain is a summoner. The guardian warns that the protagonist is no match for Du Cheng and asks him to flee. While summoning other dark creatures, Du Cheng laughs maliciously. Still dodging the attacks, our evil doctor says he will not run away. Clenching his teeth, he asks if the villain enjoys creating monsters, and preparing his next strike, he says he will help now. Du Cheng realizes that his monsters are acting strangely. He observes more closely and shouts that he cannot believe what he sees. And in a bizarre moment, suddenly crows and wolves are interacting intimately. The attention of all the other combatants is drawn to this grotesque moment. Cheng gets excited about his friend's power and says he wants to learn this skill. Du Cheng orders his subordinates to stop that scene and kill the protagonist. But even he begins to feel a strange urge to join his subordinates. The Guardian delivers a precise blow to the stone elemental and manages to split it in half. And then he comes in fury towards Du Cheng. The villain manages to defend himself by holding his sword with his hand, and with a push he plants his feet firmly on the ground. Lu remembers that Du Cheng is not an elemental, so he is not immune to his abilities. The villain screams that if he were not in the body of a clone, he would be stronger. He begins to worry because the Guardians are defeating the Elementalist. Since a quick victory is no longer possible, he will need to escape. Exploding all his strength in a roar, he orders everyone to get out of his way. This pushes the smoking Guardian back, causing him to drop his cigarette. As he regains his composure, he looks again at the villain and realizes that he really wants to flee and tells Lu to take the opportunity and go home. But when he looks for the hero, he realizes that he is no longer there. Chen points to Lu, who is already on the trail of the fleeing villain. While running, Du Cheng laments that besides not succeeding, they lost 4 elementals. Suddenly, he feels something wrong while making his escape. His stomach starts to hurt, his blood is boiling, and his lower parts itch. All of this is the work of our protagonist, who unleashed a combo of abilities on the villain. The evil doctor seems proud and surprised that the villain can still speak. Preparing his staff, he wonders what happens if he doubles the pain, or better yet, quadruples the pain he is feeling. With the help of his friend Little Green, Lu observes his enemy's reaction as he screams in despair when hit by the ability. Enraged, Du Cheng flies towards him with the intention of killing him, but something abruptly interrupts his movements, and in a fraction of a second, his monstrous body shrinks drastically. He returns to the humble form of a human, fallen on the ground. Next to the fallen body, a purple energy sphere is shimmering. The villain was so worried about fleeing that he didn't notice Lua's abilities. Something catches the victorious protagonist's attention. He picks up his opponent's spatial ring. Only qualified professionals have one. And then he also notices the small sphere beside it. The Guardians approach, and he says that the pearl fell after the villain died. They can hardly believe that the boy actually managed to eliminate Du Cheng. Luo says it was nothing, and in fact, he just got lucky. Chen asks what that pearl is, and the boy says he doesn't know, but it fell from his enemy. The smoking Guardian says that this sphere is the Dart Beast Pearl. This pearl contains powerful energy, but can only be used by certain professionals. If it is useless, at least it can be sold for a good amount of money. Extending his hand to Luo, the Guardian says he is invited to become a Guardian as well. He could become a complete professional, gain status in the realm, and not pay for his university. The Guardian continues explaining, but Lu believes that this would make him a slave to the city. Smiling, he thanks him but says he prefers his freedom and declines the invitation. The hero says goodbye. Chen asks him to wait and says he wants to learn the bizarre skill. Lu agrees to teach him when he has time for it. Still perplexed, the Guardian had never seen anyone refuse the invitation to become a member. The evil doctor looks at the ring he just acquired from his enemy and wonders what he can do with it. Back in the city on a full moon night, the Guardian goes to report to the vice mayor about what happened and comments that he is still incredulous. And he tells his superior that unfortunately, the boy declined the invitation to join the Guardians. For the Guardian, the reason for the refusal is that he has the support of the Lian family. The gentleman does not believe this since they have an alliance with Nine Snake Island. Perhaps seeing Luo's potential, the head of the Lian family gave up on the arrangement with the other family. But it is impossible because the marriage is not just to please the powerful, there are other purposes. And regarding the refusal of the invitation, it is a prejudice against the Guardians on Luo's part. The main objective of the Guardians is to maintain order in the country, and many powerful families disdain this. They even control the media and public opinion to spread negative information. This causes many professionals not to believe in the benefits that the Guardians bring. But killing Du Cheng shows that the protagonist is very talented and they need to have him on the team. He asks if he can request the honorable prophet to check his background. The old man shouts that this should not be done as it could cause enmity with Luo, and he adds that he will handle it himself later. A bit disappointed that he cannot help, the Guardian agrees. The man then begins to check some documents. He remembers that Lian Zheng is one of the few epic professionals in the city, but suddenly he starts to feel something strange in his body, and he believes that Luo only seeks profit and power and will not let him get involved again. At home in casual clothes, the protagonist is rethinking everything he experienced that day. The Fallen have formed several different organizations, and the Night Watch is one of the most powerful. He killed Du Xiaoman and Du Cheng. This fight against them seems never-ending, but now it doesn't help to dwell on this. Instead, he needs to find ways to become even stronger. Now that Du Cheng is dead, he can open his spatial ring freely. Several guild cards from the adventurers with 1,000,000 gold come out of the ring. Impressed, Lu looks at all of that and feels excited. Now he is very rich. In addition to the money, several items also come out, valuable and powerful things. A mask catches his attention. He wonders how he should use it. Fearing it might cause some mutation, he prefers to look for a book or something similar. He finds a scroll of the bewitching skill that can control the opponent's mind. Believing it could be very useful for him, he decides to learn the skill. The skill mutates and transforms into the Stockholm self-deception syndrome. It causes the target to become attracted to their abuser regardless of the conditions. Lu hopes the skill will be useful and imagines what the reward for tomorrow's game will be. The next day, the professionals prepare for the semifinal. Chen is worried because he cannot find Yining and none of the colleagues have seen her. The protagonist is looking at his phone and says he hasn't received any news from her either. The boys discuss whether it was a kidnapping, but Lu says that would be a death sentence for the kidnapper. He decides to ask the girl's aunt, King. Chen extends his fist to his friend. It's time for him to go up to the arena. The hero greets his brother and says they will talk about mining after the game. This time, the participants will be Linlu and Dongfang. In the audience, people are impressed because Dongfang's dragon looks different from before. They believe the dragon must have received various supplements and training. The vice president comments that to make the hare win, the Dongfang family spent a lot of money. In recent years, all semifinalists were from big families, and this time it was different. The crowd is cheering for Lin Luo since Dongfang has cultivated many enmities. The red-eyed guard receives some information in his earpiece. Heading out to sea, the head of the Lian family has left the city. As the vice president predicted, Lian Zheng will now begin his moves. Years ago, Lian Zheng faced Storm Island, one of the 7 empires of the deep sea. He managed to obtain the precious work exchange item from the island. With that item, he entered the epic realm and earned the title of Storm Lord. The man believes he must have dark motives for fleeing the country now. Zheng and the master of Storm Island hold the title, and if they want to evolve, they must face each other. Lian will take his daughter to use as a political pawn against the Snake Islands and the 7 emperors. The guardian asks if they will let him escape since if Yining is with Lu, he will be furious. He ensured that Zhu Shiyi would be nominated as a representative to complicate the conquest of the island. The man adds that it won't be long before he arrives, and thus he won't have a chance to marry Yining. The guardian comments that he is doing a lot for Lu, and he says it's because it's worth it. Back in the battle, the dragon, now gigantic, growls at the protagonist. He asks if the big guy didn't have enough fun last time and wants to go again. Dongfang asks him to wait a moment until the announcer starts the battle. She harbors a deep resentment towards Lu for everything she has been through. A woman asks the patriarch of the Dongfang family if he thinks there will be any surprises. Without showing any emotion, he replies that he will have to observe to find out. The moment the combat begins, the dragon and Dongfang fly towards the hero. With hatred in its eyes, the furious reptile approaches Lu closely, and he swings his weapon. With a shake of his staff, the protagonist creates a crystal wall. He casts his mental confusion ability, and everyone in the audience is amazed. Dongfang appears from behind, already preparing a strike with his arm. But he is surprised to notice that it was not Lu, but rather his own dragon that was hit by the strike of his arm. The audience, incredulous at the fact, wonders if Dongfang is under the effect of some illusion. The blow did not hurt the dragon much, but it made her extremely furious. She is one step away from attacking her own master out of hatred. Dongfang begins to feel that his bond with his pet is breaking, and if that happens, she will leave him. He turns to Lu and starts to charge his power, saying that today he will see the difference that a family background makes. The boy's equipment is the best of the best, with magnificent attributes and resistances. Luo says he wants to see if his equipment is more powerful than his level. The opponent prepares a powerful kick. Dongfang prepared himself by taking several antivirus medicines and vaccines against diseases. Getting very close to the protagonist, he says that his tricks will not work against him. The evil doctor does a somersault and manages to dodge the attack, landing behind his opponent. Astonished, Dongfang cannot believe that his rival managed to dodge. Preparing another strike, he asks how he, a priest, can be faster. Luo manages to dodge the blows, saying that there are many things the opponent does not believe. Amazed, the audience cannot believe that the boy is really a priest. The patriarch guesses that he must have used some ability that grants a burst of agility for a time. He and another man notice that something is strange with the young master. The boy is motionless and has a vacant look. He may be prepared with medicines, but the excitement ability has no vaccine. Sarcastically, Lu asks him to enjoy the pleasure. Dongfang looks at his pet with a passionate gaze. He begins to approach his dragon more and more. In his mind, he sees her as a beautiful girl who is seducing him, licking his fingers and saying sweet words for him to come closer. Dongfang leaps towards his newest passion, asking them to play together. The The disgusted audience cannot believe that the warrior is doing these things with his own dragon. Everyone begins to see Dongfang as a pervert who does not even spare his own dragon. The audience does not know whether to mock him or feel disgust, but the situation is quite strange. The dragon, however, makes a sudden move and throws the boy off her back. Still in a trance, he believes this is a friendly provocation, and again he decides to go towards the arms of his beloved. From his perspective, the beautiful girl pushes him as if she is flirting, but this hurts him, and insistently, whenever pushed, the boy tries again even when injured. The poor creature being harassed is furious and strikes her own master with her claws. Thanks to her loyalty, she is controlling her strength, preventing the attacks from being fatal. But everyone knows that if it were anyone else, they would surely have died by now. Meanwhile, we see the Murong family, Patriarch Chenfu and Suhen. The patriarch asks why the girl is there. She says she managed to win her game and that watching Linlu is quite interesting. Zuhin comments that the fact that Dongfang fell into this illusion shows that he is a failure. Her father explains that he will ask to cancel the engagement between them, and she is happy. With a little smile, she says that the Dongfang family has lost all its prestige today. Dongfang's father does not know where to hide his face. He is completely embarrassed by all the comments. His servants urge him to calm down and suggest asking to withdraw from the game. The patriarch says that giving up now would be worse. He needs to come in first to regain honor. A woman offers to cast a spell on Luo, but the man declines, saying that a curse would be a bad idea. She smiles mischievously as if she had an insight, but she says it would not be a curse but rather a spell to wake him from the illusion. With this explanation, the gentleman agrees and tells her to do it as quickly as possible. Fortunately for his opponent, Linlu is not attacking Dongfang, but rather the dragon. Luo swings his staff to unleash his next attack, and he uses the skin explosion ability several times to attack the dragon. The reptile tries to hit the opponent with its claws, but the protagonist manages to dodge quickly. Analyzing the pet, Luo concludes that it is quite strong and thinks he could keep it. Even after attacking several times, the Stockholm ability has not been activated even once. The poor and shameless Dongfang has not yet given up on his romantic advances, but with its tail, the dragon manages to deliver a precise blow to the young man, and this blow causes the trust seal between the two to break even further. To Dongfang, the dragon's strikes are the charm of a beautiful maiden, but he is losing patience. He draws his flaming sword, already tired of this game, and shouting, he says that if he wants the girl, he will have the girl. The sword approaches his pet, and he declares that no one will stop him. A very uncomfortable sound fills the area, and we can see red liquid flying. The audience is absolutely shocked by the scene. Dongfang struck his own dragon with a sword right where the sun doesn't shine. The poor dragon screams in pain, its eyes filling with tears. And just then, the woman manages to cast the spell to break the illusion. Then Dongfang's eyes encounter a scene he will never forget. Incredulous, he asks where that beautiful girl he was talking to is. He starts to connect the dots and realizes that it was actually his dragon. Very awkwardly, he begins to try to explain the situation. But it is too late, and the trust seal has been completely shattered. The dragon is now free from the pact it previously had with its master. Dongfang extends his hand, trying to caress his dragon, but now she has no respect for him anymore. She raises her wings and flies away, leaving her master behind, ordering her to return. The Dongfang family, who are watching, is disappointed by the dragon's escape. A dragon can live for many years, and it is a family tradition. The discussion becomes increasingly heated. Declaring that the fight is over and that they must go after the dragon, the patriarch withdraws. The vice president and another man watch the Dongfang family leave. Finding humor in the situation, the man acts as if he is being avenged. He believes they are after the dragon, but now that it is free, anyone can catch it. Now the vice president orders the guards to find the dragon's location. Some hooded men are watching the dragon fly in the distance. One of the hooded figures says that if the dragon gets the crystal, it will be able to reach very high levels. He then orders them to find the creature as quickly as possible. Back in the arena, Dongfang is exhausted both physically and mentally. He blames Linlu for everything that happened, and in an explosion of rage, he shouts the protagonist's name at the top of his lungs. Luo says he doesn't owe him any money, so he has no reason to shout like that. Dongfang jumps towards Luo in a moment of irrationality and full of hatred. With a swing of his sword, he destroys the ground with how strong his blow was. Public opinion does not forgive, and everyone is commenting on the shame he experienced. Dongfang cannot believe how his honor has been thrown down the drain with so many comments. Almost unable to control his anger, he uses his Golden Thunder ability, and apparently hits Luo, who is engulfed by a gigantic thunder. However, the protagonist was protected by his faithful shield. Grinding his teeth, Dongfang cannot believe that his attack with all its power was blocked. Starting a new attack, the hero says he would like to take it easy on him, but now he is in a hurry. He raises his arm, preparing his next trick, and energy hands form, holding 2 scalpels. The audience is stunned that he only revealed his weapons now and that this doesn't seem like something a priest would do. Not taking his opponent seriously, he laughs and asks if Lu intends to kill him with laughter. The protagonist prepares himself, taking a battle stance, and he passes by Dongfang with a strike, saying that soon he won't know how to laugh anymore. The boy finds it strange because he feels nothing and wonders if it was just a bluff. But in a delayed reaction, he realizes that a part of his body has grown. Luo congratulates him, saying it is the first time he has seen the ability have this effect, and the boy has now turned into a girl with ample bosom and long brown hair. The audience goes wild with such a transformation. Now a beautiful girl, Dongfang orders him to turn her back, but when she tries to move, the girl stumbles and falls to the ground. She wonders what else the protagonist has done to her. The evil doctor explains that the bodies of men and women are different and that he still hasn't adapted. And still lying on the ground, the newest girl coughs and loses consciousness. Linlu emerges victorious from this curious clash with a redesignation surgery. The next battle will be between the protagonist and Rong Zuhen. The girl seems worried, and her father says she shouldn't fight. Back in the arena after a while, the place is still packed. Chen is surprised by Lu's distraction, and he explains that he received a message from Meining's aunt. They are interrupted by the announcement that Zuhen has withdrawn and that the protagonist is the winner. Taking a battle stance, Lu says he will leave the rest to his brother and states that he needs to leave. In another location, someone is asking about the withdrawal. One of the clan members asks if it is a good idea to give up the wonder of the world now. The girl says they have a 50% chance, but that both would come out very hurt. And even if they won because of Lu's abilities, the family's honor would be ruined. The father believes that more important than anything is his daughter's honor, which cannot be tarnished. No matter how you look at it, Suhin is a high-level girl, and her honor is worth more than the wonder. She also believes that it is more important to make friends than enemies with the protagonist. The patriarch hopes that Linlu can have that kind of value. Back at the battle site, the announcer invites the winner to give a speech, but he does not appear, and the vice president approaches the announcer. Chen arrives on stage and explains that Lu had to step out, and he will be representing him. The vice president says that since he is his best friend, they will make an exception. In another location, the protagonist talks to King, and she explains what happened with mining. Since the island they went to has no cell signal, the girl left a letter for him. Lu is upset and disapproves of how his father treats the girl. He picks up the letter. In the letter, she says she will go to the Imperial University in 2 months when the trip ends. Placing the letter on the table, the boy becomes thoughtful and repeats the name of the university. He looks at King and asks her to tell the truth if Yining is in danger. The woman apologizes but says that is all she can say and that she needs to leave immediately. But she reflects in her thoughts that Lu is still very weak, so it is better to keep some things a secret. He stands up and begins to say goodbye since there is no more reason to talk. But before he leaves, she admits that she lied. Mining's love for him is genuine, and King hopes he values her. Looking back, the boy thanks her and then leaves. Night falls, and Lu is reflecting on 9 Snake Island. He tries to make mental connections to understand why the Lian family would go there. The protagonist feels a movement in his storage space. It seems to come from the mask he had seen before, but he hadn't even touched it. From inside the mask come some phrases about the dragon's location and the guardian's attack. The boy realizes that the mask is a communication device and decides to put it on. After wearing the mask, the user can communicate with the Night Watch and access special permissions. Lu decides to teleport and go after the dragon since he was coveting it too. Far away, Dongfang, who has even changed her body, is lying in the middle of a room. She is still thinking about the dragon she lost after the battle. The patriarch asks what the conditions are, and the doctor says that the mental traumas are the worst. Regarding having changed gender, this will no longer be reversible, and to maintain the family line, they would need to transplant a member. But the man thinks this is absurd. A transplant would not be considered maintaining the lineage. He asks them to find a young aristocrat to marry his daughter. The girl starts to get up, asking what kind of joke this is. She screams that she is Dongfang He and would never marry a man. Her father casts a spell with his finger and says that she is nothing without her dragon. The spell causes Dongfang to have her arms bound, and her father asks them to keep an eye on her. Still tied up, she says she is a man and does not want to marry a man. One of the men who were with the patriarch says they have found the whereabouts of the dragon. They receive orders to do whatever it takes to recover the dragon. As the men leave the room, poor Dongfang remains trapped and defenseless. And this is the cruelty of great families. Even having become a woman, she will be squeezed until all her value is extracted. But she decides not to give up and resolves to try to recover her pet. A hooded man is standing by, waiting when a flame appears. Another hooded person wearing a mask emerges from the flames. The man greets him with great respect, as those who wear this mask are usually important. He explains to the masked figure that they were after the dragon when they were attacked by guardians. The masked man then says he will take a look at the situation. We can see a liquid dripping on the ground and some chains. The poor ex-dragon of Dongfang is chained and trapped. He is surrounded by a protective sphere while guardians and Night Watch fight. Luo knows that given the value of the dragon, it is normal for many forces to covet it. He notices that amidst the battle, there seems to be an old acquaintance. The Night Watch tries to hit Zhao Qiqing, claiming they found the dragon first. The villain uses his flame dragon claw on the guardian. He is hit and flies across the ground, the blow releasing a scarlet light. The pale man says that 5 years ago they had equivalent strength, but that is no longer the case. Extending his hand to Qiqing, he asks if he doesn't want to join the Night Watch. The guardian declines, saying he may be strong, but he is nothing more than a living corpse. Qiqing keeps his gaze firm and determined. Chai Feng then decides to attack him mercilessly, and orders him to die with his stupid purpose. But before he could land the blow, an arrow flies in his direction. He manages to dodge at the last moment, and the arrow hits a wall, destroying it. The patriarch of the Dongfang family asks how he dares to touch the family's dragon. Chai Feng regains his composure and faces his archer adversary. To him, the dragon is a thing without an owner that belongs to anyone who takes it first. Qiqing shouts that he dared to forget and turn his back in the middle of the battle. Many blows collide, and dust and smoke rise. Nearby, other warriors are fighting, and a flame dragon is managing to dominate the guardians. Luo decides it is better to wait and observe before making any move. But while he watches, something catches his attention. Amidst the battles, someone is taking advantage of the distraction and approaching the dragon. It is Dongfang Hai in her new girl body, sneaking in quietly. The girl realizes that no one is paying attention to the pet dragon. She extends her hand and asks them to make a new contract and go home. But the dragon screams desperately, shaking her head and trying to break free. As the shock is great, the creature believes she will be hit in her intimate areas again. Patriarch Dongfang sees that his daughter is on the battlefield and orders her to leave. Chai Feng, who is engulfed in flames, tells the girl to get lost and unleashes the flames. She ends up being affected by the fire attack and screams for her pet. One can barely see the silhouette of the girl. She burns in the most absurd fire and falls charred to the ground, unrecognizable. The dragon roars in despair. Some chains have come loose from how agitated she became. The scream is so overwhelming that it cracks some walls and the ground. Chai Feng shouts, warning everyone that even with the contract broken, the creature will seek revenge on her master. One of the hooded figures insists that if they do not stay in battle, their side will lose. The leader tells them not to worry about him and to take care of the dragon because he can handle it. And then his vassals obey and rush toward the desperate dragon. The guardians decide to all attack together because if they kill the flame dragon, the others will be easy. Meanwhile, one of the Night Watch holds the chain that binds the dragon. They begin to emit electricity through the chain, and the poor creature screams in despair. Luo starts to approach and decides it is time to intervene. He approaches the hooded figures and asks if they need help. From afar, the growls and screams of the poor dragon can be heard. The Night Watch tries to contain her at all costs, but she continues to resist. One of them notices Luo and asks for help, as it is quite difficult to hold her. The disguised evil doctor stretches out his hand and says he is there precisely to help. But instead of helping, he unleashes the skin explosion ability, and the poor masked man suffers the intense and terrible consequences. One of the others holding the chains also notices something strange. They hear a death scream, and everyone is caught off guard. Thanks to the mental confusion, one is attacking the other to death. The attacks from the men corrupted by the spell are merciless and persistent. All the chains are released, and the dragon faces Luo. She takes flight without looking back, and the boy says she could have at least thanked him. For him, the important thing is that she does not fall into enemy hands. But while watching her flight, a flame surges behind him, and a silhouette can be seen. It is Chai Feng, who threatens to launch an attack on whoever freed his prize, and a great explosion of flames erupts, making everything hot around. But with a leap, the target of the fiery man manages to dodge. He is surprised by such speed but says that alone will not be enough. While dodging the attacks, Luo notices something he deems not good. Patriarch Dongfang launches 3 arrows at once at Chai Feng. He is badly injured and asks the villain to bring his son back. The Dragon Flame says he will deal with him as soon as he finishes with B-72, that is Luo. The battlefield is boiling, and everything is being destroyed by the overwhelming powers around. Qiqing is watching the battle and realizes that B-72's movements are quite familiar. Connecting the dots, he realizes that the number he calls belongs to the guy who was killed by Luo. Then he realizes that it is the protagonist who is fighting. even though he is more important than the dragon. He orders his subordinates to protect B-72 at all costs. Now changing his appearance, Feng is channeling all his power with the force of hatred. Even horns appear on his forehead, and his eyes are completely red. His body is surrounded by dark red energy, and he no longer wants to be stopped. He approaches Patriarch Dongfang closely and says he will kill him before B-72. In an explosion of scarlet and purple energy, Dongfang and his subordinates are sent flying. The flame dragon grabs the Patriarch's neck and says that now he will die. But before he completes his move, something interrupts him right at that moment. He releases his opponent's neck and flies away in a hurry. Everyone is confused and wonders what the situation will be. A barefoot appears on the battlefield, and someone with long hair arrives. Patriarch Dongfang asks what the ancestor is doing there. The person says they sense Here's death and asks if the guy who fled is responsible. The elder replies that yes, and they cannot let him escape. That is the ancestor of the Dongfang family, Wei. He is an epic professional. Wei says he will go after the killer and asks him to take Here's body as it will be useful. The Patriarch turns his attention to Lu and says there's one more night watch that needs to be eliminated. Chiching steps in front and says he is a double agent infiltrated among the Guardians. Not believing it, the elder asks how he managed to get that leader's mask while being an infiltrator. The Guardian says he doesn't need to explain himself, grabs Lu's hand, and starts to move away. Far from there, Chiching gives the protagonist a heavy lecture. He adds that it could be a trap and that he should be punished for it. The two are covered by a gigantic shadow from some very large creature, and there is Dongfang's dragoness staring at the two intently. Lu scratches the back of his neck, embarrassed, and says it seems she came to see him. Back at the field where the battle took place, some people are retrieving Here's body. His father remembers that he gifted him a resurrection tool, but he did not use it. His phone rings, interrupting his thoughts. He answers, apparently a bit worried. Someone informs him that they cannot find Dongfang at the resurrection point and that he committed suicide. The Patriarch understands that he probably used suicide and resurrection to escape from prison, and he did all this for the sake of his pet dragon. The Guardian warns the boy to be careful, as dragons are dangerous, and this one still harbors resentment. With a calm gaze, the dragoness observes Lu, who looks back at her. He tells Chiching that it doesn't seem like she has any ill intentions toward him. The protagonist decides to slowly bring his hand closer to the creature's snout, and surprisingly, he manages to touch her and feels he has created a kind of connection with her. This connection was the result of the Stockholm ability that ended up being activated. The Guardian is completely surprised by this. He never imagined a dragon would do such a thing. He asks Lu to find a way to make a contract with her and can help if necessary. The protagonist managed to get a contract from a boss he defeated, and it was one of the best. Placing his hand on the dragoness's head, he uses the contract item, and immediately their bond is successfully completed. Now a dragon priest has been born, and the two have a partnership. Lu takes a look at his status and notes how strong she is and that she still has a lot of potential. Dragons are indeed very rare and powerful, and this one has taken several elixirs. Gently stroking the head of his new friend, the protagonist decides to name her Crimson. He climbs on top of her, understanding that she probably liked the idea of the name. Chiching decides to gossip to the vice president and calls him to share the news. A hand slams on the table furiously. The vice president cannot believe what is happening. He says that as soon as the Dongfang family finds out, they will do everything to get the dragon back. Linlu is not a dragon knight, but if they take his dragon, they will end up being discovered. The vice president asks him to take the dragon to a remote place and then bring Lu to him. A torch mounted on the wall casts a flickering flame that illuminates the surroundings. The ancestor says he did not expect Long Yan to have a trump card and manage to escape. Now that they have lost a member, they will need to take revenge. The family is completely humiliated. Here's father says that at least he was saved and will do everything to maintain the lineage. Wei says he is not concerned about the lineage, but about the fact that they have lost a dragon knight. The ancestor intends to use Here's body to employ a secret search method to find a dragon. Hooded man is coughing and spilling a liquid on the ground as he walks. It is the flame dragon, and he curses all his adversaries from the previous battle. Suddenly, a purple smoke appears in front of him, surprising him. The smoke says that if it hadn't stopped Wei, he would be dead. He thanks it and says he will repay later. The dark mist says it wants the repayment now. Feng is not in a condition as he is crippled. Saying that it can give him an even stronger arm, the specter insists. Then the villain asks what it wants in return, and the mist wants him to be its spokesperson. Feng does not seem to find this deal very fair, and the dark mist says that from this day forward, he will be a follower of the Lord of the Dark Mist. Far away from there, Lu stretches his arm. He is finally back to his sweet home. It just so happens that he runs into Cheng and manages to collect his reward from the games. Excited, he starts to open the box and is eager to see the wonder of the world. The protagonist is at home opening the reward box he won in the games. He hears a click and the lid of the box begins to open slowly. A light strong enough to hurt his eyes comes out from inside that box. He feels a bit confused by the silly shape of the object. Picking the thing up, he cannot believe this is why so many families were fighting. His little flying friend comes out of his inventory and starts to approach the wonder. Lu asks him to be careful because it is also a living creature and could eat him. Someone knocks on the door and says it is Gu Shoi and has a matter to discuss with him. The boy is surprised to see that it is the vice president. He invites him in. If the noble families knew how he is treating the wonder of the world, they would be furious. Shoi notices the flying creature and asks who the little guy is. But this makes him a bit irritated and he makes some noises. The vice president apologizes for the misunderstanding, laughing, and he gives the little light a small gift as a form of apology. The gift is quickly snatched up by the little creature. Lu apologizes for the lack of etiquette, and the vice president says he is there to invite him to join them. The protagonist says he has made it clear that he does not intend to become a guardian. Shoi says he will not be a full member but rather an honorary guest. Many professionals think like him and want to maintain their freedom, so they remain freelancers. So Lu will have some missions, receive rewards, but will be completely free. The boy understands that this condition is tempting but does not understand why him. Telling how he noticed his potential, the man says he bets on his future. He adds that he is being as sincere as possible with the boy. Lu then decides that he will accept the proposal. The old man is happy and hands him a medal and a token, officially making him an honorary member. The token allows him to control any guardian between Gold Helm and Binhai City, and the medal is a magical place where he can let his pets rest. Lu is surprised because these are exactly things that will be very useful for him now. Taking advantage, he asks the man to explain what that wonder of the world is. The vice president explains that it will still take a long time for him to be able to use it. It allows epic professionals to enter the legendary realm and legendary professionals to enter the mythical realm. Now Lu understands the power of this little thing and even questions if it is a good idea to give it as a reward. The man explains that due to the circumstances, it is a good idea since he stole it from the aliens of the deep sea. Even though it was damaged due to the battle, it is still possible to repair it. They decided to use a competition method to distribute the reward and not hurt the relationships between families. Shoi laughs and says that many people are upset that he managed to get that item. The protagonist asks how they can fix it and what the time and space gap means. The space-time rift is a set of rule fragments, like the heart of the territory, that can be consumed by the wonders of the world. It appears at points guarded by bosses, and only creatures with wisdom, number, and certain culture can possess it. In the Dragon Realm, these monster locations are in outer space, in dungeons, and in the Starry Sea. But scared, the old man says that these places are extremely dangerous for him. Lu explains that he was just curious. Changing the subject, the old man asks if he has decided which university to attend, and he denies it. Shoi recommends that he go to the Imperial University, as the young master of Nine Snakes Island will be there. The protagonist says that his friend Nining went to that island, and he doesn't understand why. The vice president says he should refer to her affectionately, and that there are guardians on the island, so he shouldn't worry. He asks if he can use the guardians to send her a letter, and the old man confirms. Sometime later, it starts to rain and night falls. The vice president is already in his car leading the meeting with Lu. Chiching asks if the protagonist accepted the proposal, and the old man affirms. He begins to think about Lu's flying creature and becomes intrigued. Putting his hand out to feel the rain, he thinks that the boy has many secrets. In the city, we see several ads for Lu's personal items being sold in auction. There are also advertisements saying that reading the same book of his will help in the exam. Even hair gel and shampoo are available for pre-sale. Embarrassed, the protagonist realizes that he is famous and wonders if he should ask for image rights. As he walks through the streets, people take photos and comment. Some people ask him to teach skills, while others ask for autographs. Some girls approach him with ulterior motives, trying to seduce him. Worried, the boy is getting tired of all the harassment. He uses his adrenaline rush ability and escapes from all that fuss. Impressed by the number of strange rumors, he seems tired of it all. Since he reached level 40, he needed to change weapons, and going to the mall led him to this crowd. Two men walking nearby also notice his presence, and our famous hero receives even more flattery and idolization. A female voice interrupts the confusion among the fans. It's Xuhen who asks the fans to know when to stop and that Lu is uncomfortable. She says that the two have a date, and anyone who dares to disturb them will face consequences. The fans leave but gossip about whether she or Yining is Lu's girlfriend. The protagonist thanks his savior and feels relieved. Xuyen questions why he is shopping alone. He explains that he needed to buy new equipment and it's hard to find online. The blonde explains that in this case, she has a good place to recommend. The Murong family's mall has the finest equipment and she will give a discount. Lu observes the place and truly judges that the items are very good, but he needs golden level weapons and asks if he is being too demanding. The Those who need golden weapons usually don't buy them but receive them from wealthy families. She makes a proposal for him to join the Murong family, but he says he prefers to be free. Xuyen says that he could even receive support from the Lian family, but it won't be so easy. The boy becomes serious and says that she seems to know something. The blonde reveals that the two are friends and that she knows mining was promised to the master of Snake Island. Lu is shocked to learn that the reason for the trip was a marriage. Regarding the reason for the marriage, basically, mining is being used in exchange for powers for her father. But fortunately for the boy, someone made Ju Shay study at the Imperial University, which postponed the marriage. The hero knows that the one who did this great favor for him was Vice President Gu Shui. Xuyen gave up the battle and now provided information, so she thinks it's not too much to ask to be his friend. The two shake hands to seal their friendship. The protagonist believes that it's not a bad thing to be on good terms with her. Now that they are friends, they can start helping each other. She asks her uncle to get something. The old man takes an item from his inventory. It is a very powerful epic weapon, a magic staff. Lu is very impressed and extremely grateful for such a privilege. She explains that the staff belongs to her family, and it is forbidden to trade it with outsiders, but her friends do not tell. The boy explains that he does not have enough money right now, but that he will manage with the rest of his items, and she asks with a beautiful smile for him to call her Xuyen from now on. After selling the old materials, he bought the staff at a friendly price. With the rest of the money, he bought equipment and special items to enrich his inventory. After saying goodbye to his newest friend, he returned to Black Steel Mountain. He mounts Crimson and is ready to start the journey to fix the wonder of the world, and the first chosen destination is just outside the region. Crimson takes flight with her new master on her back.
Our video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.